And a merry welcome to a cacophony of screams here at Ventura High School and Larrabee Field, as well as Eric Turner Field for Pacific View League matchup here on VCStar.com, as the likes of Tim Garcia and his club here with the Ventura Cougars welcome in the Buena Bulldogs here on the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week. And a very welcome in alongside Anthony Placencia, Kent Brown, Cam Molina on hand. And Kent, this is a contest that is very storied, the 56th overall contest here at the San Buena Ventura rivalry. And the last 9 contests have gone in the way of the Cougars. However, Buena looks to break that streak tonight.
Yeah, we've done several of these games over the years here, including some dramatic ones at Larrabee Stadium. I remember being down on the field, it might have been about 4 years ago, where it was a final play in the corner of the end zone, and Ventura escaped with victory. These two teams, whether they're first place or last place in their respective divisions, they want to win this game. And when you look at the home team in the black and gold, the Ventura Cougars, and the road team Buena wearing their blue and black and white tonight, Buena wants to spoil the fun here at Larrabee Stadium, and Ventura wants the fun to become a happening here with their home crowd surrounding this stadium. It's seemingly sold out on both sides.
Ryan, Ventura wants to compound the fun. Tonight is senior night, 22 seniors being honored here at Larrabee Stadium, but also they want to hit that double digit in turn of the streaks here. Again, the 56th overall San Buenaventura rivalry, and what is the spoil? It's the Suzanne Brown Memorial Trophy. Both of these two clubs are going to go at it very soon. However, since it is senior night, we're going to have a 7:30 kickoff, but we do want to give you a nice scene setter ahead of the contest today. And looking at the Cougars who come into this contest with a 3-5 record and sub-500 record within the PVL. Coach Garcia this week had told his guys, hey, we control our own destiny, and it starts in the backfield with the quarterback, Carson Willis, the senior, who over the last 3 contests has performed quite well as he's been able to log over 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. He'll be crucial tonight.
Yeah, Carson Willis is definitely a guy that you can rely on if you are this Ventura offense, a senior at the quarterback spot. Cade Ledesma could be a wild card and that you might see him in the backfield a few times. This is now the 3rd Ventura game we've done this year, and Ledesma, the junior, has had the ball in his hands in the backfield with that run-pass threat. Dane Kapler, a reliable senior tailback, a guy they can go to, the transfer from Malibu. And then a bunch of weapons, including Zach Rodriguez on the outside. They'll put him in the slot. They'll move him all over the field, give him the ball on a jet sweep. He is a playmaker to watch out for. And the guy we like, Jaden Klein, has the USD offer. He's a guy that they'll bring in the backfield to block. They'll send him out in that H-back spot to catch some passes, block for a tailback. He is an integral part of this offense as well. So for Ventura tonight, you want smart, disciplined, reliable football. A bunch of the kids we just discussed, they're all seniors except for Ledesma, the junior change of pace quarterback, and a guy that they'll use in certain situations. But a lot of seniors tonight want to not lose to Buena. You don't want your final game against your rival to be the only loss against your rival.
Correct. And going to Ledesma, we'll get more into him as the broadcast goes along tonight, but an interesting story in terms of a birth defect that he had, but ultimately being able to overcome that and play with his team. And, of course, his father, Steve, who's the wide receiver coach for Ventura, as well as his brother, who was the former quarterback here for the Cougars, Stevie Ledesma, also part of the Detroit Tigers organization as a minor league pitcher, also in the stands watching his brother tonight. But a lot of sub packages set aside by Coach Garcia and company for Ledesma. And through the first couple games of the season, when Willis was sidelined with an injury after the Royal game, Ledesma really stepped up. And according to Coach Ryan Bolin of the Buena Bulldogs, hey, we're going to be expecting some sub packages tonight featuring Ledesma. We're really going to have to key in on those.
Yeah, and I think for this Ventura team, the one thing you have to hope early on is that your offensive and defensive lines win the point of attack. When we've seen them at their best this year, we've seen them struggle at the lines, they lost. We saw them dominate on the line, they won. When this team performs its best is when the big guys up front are blocking, creating holes, and wreaking havoc on the opposing quarterback.
And looking at the Buena Bulldogs, obviously they have an entire cast of stellar playmakers, but you look in the backfield with Bruce Mathis, who comes in at 5'6", 170 pounds, but according to Coach Bolin, he is a bowling ball power back. And he told me that we had to gain a lot of trust with the likes of our young running back, though he is a senior, still a young man. We really had to gain a lot of trust, and he had to put a lot of trust in us to believe that he can be that power-type back. And the numbers and the statistics reflect what he's done on the field and the effort and the work ethic, as he's been able to log over 880 rushing yards this season, 11 touchdowns. Just last season, 709 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns. So nearly 200 more rushing yards and 2 total touchdowns to his name.
And we've been able to see him throughout the years, and Bruce Mathis, he runs hard. He is a kid that sometimes you think first contact he's going to go down because of his size, and that is not the case. He will break tackles, carry tacklers, and get positive yards, and that's what you want out of your senior starter. Because they run that wing T, there's a lot of those slot backs that come in. Tyler Tonoli's been banged up. Jake Murphy is another guy, and then Zach Babcock on the outside. Speaking with our Joe Curley before the game, he said it starts with number 12 on the outside. He's their best playmaker, and we expect the junior Zach Babcock to be a difference maker. But Bruce Mathis is a joy to watch, and he's one of those kids you talk about never say die, and somebody who you can rely on to just make a play. He always seems to find a way.
And the hometown Cougars taking the field in their midnight black uniforms with yellow numerals and letterings, and everyone preparing for the national anthem. So with that, we will step aside and bring you back more action here on BCStar.com and the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week. And a rousing rendition of the national anthem here at Larrabee Stadium. And once again, we welcome you into the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week from VCStar.com. Ventura Orthopedics is proud to support the collegiate and high school athletic teams in the community. The doctors serve as team physicians for most of the high school and college sports programs in the area. Whether assisting with game injuries or cheering for players from the sidelines, the doctors at Ventura Orthopedics consider it a privilege to be a part of the team. And make sure you check up on all of our local high school coverage at our Twitter handle at VCS Preps. And also, once again, this is VCStar.com alongside our splendid producer, Anthony Placencia, Kent Brown, Cam Molina with you for a contest between the 500 4-4 Buena Bulldogs and the 3-5 Ventura Cougars, who are 3-5 currently. Both teams 1-2 in league play. Kent, these guys right now for the Bulldogs and Cougars really trying to make a stand for either that third or fourth spot within the PVL and gain some confidence and earn a playoff position.
Yeah, we mentioned just a few minutes ago that Ventura controls its destiny. Buena controls its destiny to get that third spot. We know about Oxnard. We know about Pacifica. And those are two teams that probably aren't going to fall off the top two spots. But between these two, they're right in that mix. You have Channel Islands. You have some other squads. But I think for both Ventura and Buena, this is not only a huge rivalry game, it could become a game in which if you make the playoffs, this would be the starter here in the tail end of the season.
And again, we've mentioned it before, but to say it again, this is the 56th meeting in the San Buena-Ventura rivalry. And just to give a little context, these two teams are bouting tonight in order to have the right to claim the Suzanne Brown Memorial Trophy. And for Suzanne Brown in December of 1986. She, Susanna Brown, who was a teacher and cheer advisor here at Ventura High School, along with her son, Jonah Brown, who was a basketball player, her father, Jack Rawls, and Dia Ray Rounds, were returning home from Jamal's basketball game in Beverly Hills, California, when they were sadly killed in a head-on collision by an oncoming drunk driver on the 101 freeway. He was driving the wrong way and ultimately led to that disaster. But this is an opportunity for the town to come together. And in 1987, the high school for Ventura and Buena came together, and this is a true way to remember what is a community driving event and really bringing everyone together. And in terms of bringing everyone together and remembering those individuals, you can definitely see it tonight with Ventura with such a raucous crowd and Buena coming out in spades too.
Yeah, crosstown rivals, there's always a respect for one another. We always like to use the terms, they hate each other, but when it comes to a community aspect, they are here for the bigger picture things for sure. We got to see the Oxnard Pacifica crosstown rivalry a few weeks ago. Now we get to see this one here in Ventura, and it should be quite a game. I know I'm looking forward to it. And for the third time this year, we get the great venue of Larrabee Stadium here on a Friday night.
And Ken at center field, the captains for the respective squads awaiting the coin flip as we begin again a contest between the 4-4 Bulldogs and the Cougars, who sit at 3 and 5. And Ventura electing to receive after winning the kick, and both sides will come to center field and stand on the intimidating gold Cougar logo with the black sprawling letters that read Ventura. And in their away uniforms tonight will be Buena with what appears to be that pearl white uniforms with, I think, periwinkle numerals and lettering. And as for the Cougars, they sport their midnight black uniforms with yellow numerals and lettering, and obviously those midnight black helmets. But for this Buena club, again, a 500 club, and we just spoke about it, this is about the time you want to peak, correct? Unfortunately, last time out for this Buena bunch, they stumbled to Rio Mesa, and it was a contest in which Coach Bolin said, I was not impressed. I think that was the game in which we showed the least amount of fight, and the hallmark of our team is that our kids fight. So pretty discouraging words coming from Coach Bolin about his club.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those deals that when you get towards November, which we're a week away from November football, you have to be playing your best. You have to be a team that's on the rise, getting ready to peak. And for a coach, sometimes words like that inspire your team. It gets them going. And if you can bring your A game in a rivalry game tonight, then Buena's going to be in this for the entirety, the 48 minutes of tonight's game. If they don't show up and they kind of play uninspired, as you said, then Ventura probably wins this handily. I expect a good game tonight. I think both squads, both Buena and Ventura, will be ready to play.
Taylon Butterbaugh, the junior place kicker and kickoff specialist, will line up behind her own 45-yard line to ship this one away with Zach Rodriguez and Dane Kapler, while Daniel Gutierrez all near the 25 extended back for the likes of the Cougars. And we are underway for the 56th clash here at the St. Buenaventura rivalry. The ball scooped up near the 30-yard line, jolting across the 40 is Rodriguez to the 41-yard line. It's still our starting position for the Cougars.
Yeah, Rodriguez, the Mr. Do-It-All for this team, the punter, the slot receiver, the kick returner, punt returner, and we've seen he is unafraid on special teams to make that catch and drive the ball forward. A lot of return men, sometimes they wait for a hole to form. That's not Zach Rodriguez. He will catch it and go directly north and south, which is frankly what you want out of your return man. And also a good job by Ventura there to know that Buena, scouting-wise, was going to kick it short, and Rodriguez was the up man in that situation.
Kapler with a 3 wide receiver set. Rodriguez comes in motion from right to left. It's an end around across the 40. Tap dances outside the 45, maintains his balance and into Bulldog territory and nudged out of bounds at the 40-yard line of Buena as he skitters forward for a gain of 19.
A great job, great blocking. The outside receivers were able to just, as they say, get a hat on a hat. And Rodriguez trusted his blockers and then, as I said, turned it north-south up near the sideline. A really good first down game.
Willis and company rushing to the line, an up cadence style of offense with an extra blocker along the line. A handoff left side. Dane Kapler accelerates, sheds one tackle, and is dropped at the 20-yard line. He skates forward for 19 as well.
Well, you pick up nearly 20 on your starting 2 plays. That is one way to get deep in opponent's territory and put so much pressure on this Bulldogs defense.
The junior Simon Brown subbing in for the Cougars on what is a 1st and 10, and now in the red zone of the Bulldogs, working along the left hash and also right to left on your screen. Willis will come to the line, bark out some orders. Now line up under center. In motion is Brown from left to right. Handoff. Kapler tap dances in the backfield, but we have a flag down, and Kapler will work his way along the right side of the line to the 16.
Yeah, they do a lot of movement in the backfield, are the Ventura Cougars, and I like it because it keeps the defense on its toes. We have seen Rodriguez back there. We've seen Dorian Dawson also come in motion, and those are 2 guys that for Ventura, you get the ball in their hands, they can make plays out of it, and it just makes the linebackers have to think and move with their eyes, and the more you can get a defense thinking, Cam, generally speaking, the worse the defense usually is.
So a chop block going against the Cougars, and that will push the ball back to the 35, maybe 36-yard line. Buena, nearly a 15-yard penalty, I believe a 15-yard penalty, yes, with 11:17 remaining in the first frame of action. And Willis and company will look towards the sideline. Willis in his last 3 contests after suffering an injury against Royal and then bouncing back and starting against Oxnard. 57% completion rate, 323 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kapler in the backfield, in motion from right to left is Jaden Klein. A turn and handoff and mushing towards the left side of the offensive line is Kapler as he tries to wiggle forward a little bit more. Correction, Rodriguez tries to wiggle forward a little bit more. He gets across the 35 to the 34.
Yeah, good job from the safety position for a couple guys on the Buena defense. And you try to stretch the defense out. That time the defense did not bite. We're able to make the play, and it's a short 2-yard pickup after the 15-yard penalty.
Willis will come out of the gun. Motion from right to left once again is Cade Ledesma. Handoff right side. Tap dancing in the backfield and working is Kapler. Kapler maintains his balance, stutters forward, and he gets to about the 20-yard line, a 13-yard pickup.
Yeah, good gain by Kapler, and it gets them near the original line of scrimmage. You have to think this might be 4-down territory as the ball's outside the 20. So if you can pick up another 6 or 7 here and make it 4th and 3, 4th and 4, you're right on track. But a really nice gain after getting that 15-yard penalty a couple plays ago.
So a few substitutions for the Cougars as Dorian Dawson checks into the contest. He'll line up towards the left side of the field. And at the top of your screen is Rodriguez with his white gloves as Willis will line up under center. And the H-back, Jaden Klein on the field, who has 6 rushing touchdowns this season. The feature back is Kapler. Motion yet again from right to left. It's Ledesma. Willis hands off in a delay to Klein. Klein sheds a defender across the 5 and down at the 1, but a flag comes out near the snap of the football. That was near immediate.
Yeah, the flag was in the backfield, so we'll have to see who it is on. If it's a defensive penalty, it'll just be declined, and it will be 1st and goal. Normally when it's thrown in that position, it's coming back, but it was thrown right as the snap was occurring, which makes me think it was something on the offense.
And we'll wait what the line judge has to say, and he makes a motion for false start, and the umpire will relay that, so a false start before the snap occurred, and that will push back the Cougar company 5 yards. And that will bring up again another 3rd and medium situation. And again, that's 2 penalties in a row by this offensive line. And for the Cougars, they want to extend this win streak to 10 against this Buena club. Obviously, it goes without saying, but to say it anyways, the offensive line has to be precise in their execution.
Yeah, a 15-yard penalty, now a 5-yard penalty. Both are a killer, but on that one in particular, it would be 1st and goal inside the 5. Instead, it's now 3rd and 16 from their own 27.
Stack receivers towards the left side of the field. Flip left side. Ledesma looks deep, flicks it to the left side of the end zone, and hauling it in for 6 is Jaden Klein. The 6'1 senior corrals the football along the end of the Ventura lettering that runs from left to right in the end zone and makes it a 6-0 contest, a 26-yard pitch and catch between the junior Ledesma and the senior Klein.
Yeah, we mentioned there are packages for Ledesma and that they will use him, whether it's just to be a quarterback on a direct snap, and this time it was a 26-yard throw to him, and then he gets it to Jaden Klein. So really good job there of utilizing your weapons as the extra point goes up and it's through. And for Cade Ledesma, he's one of those guys, he wouldn't mind just being the starting quarterback, but if you can use him in situations and have him shine, that is not a bad way to do it either. A great trick play, great execution, great play call, and that's how you get up in a rivalry game.
A 5-play, 59-yard drive that lasted just a bit over 2:40 to put the Cougars up front first at home on senior night, 7-0 here at Larrabee Field. And for those of you who are not familiar, Mike Larrabee was a 1952 graduate of Ventura High School, a 56 USC grad. He won 2 gold medals in the 400 and the 4x4 at the Tokyo Olympics in 1964, obviously going down in the record books, not only for the United States, but for this Ventura High School. And kicking off from right to left will be Rourke Riemann for the Cougars.
Great opening drive from the Cougars. Good execution. The 20 yards of penalty is definitely something that you have to shore up if you're Ventura, but they ended up getting the trick play. They picked up over 20 yards or close to 20 yards on 3 different plays.
A fluttering kick left side of the field, bobbled and nearly turned over. David Duncan, the middle linebacker, who's also a senior, who stands at 5'7", 175, nearly muffed the football. Fortunately enough, he lands on top of it at his own 25-yard line. So the likes of the Buena Bulldogs and sophomore cornerback Jake Chevrevia, will come out onto the field. So Chevrevia, I beg your pardon, will line up in the pistol. Actually, this wing set, and we'll hand it off right side, stumbling forward, and it's a flick towards the left side of the field. Chevrevia, and the ball's hauled in, and making a stellar play is Zach Babcock, the junior. And Chevrevia able to connect on the play, hooking up with Zach Babcock off the play action. And this is a Bulldogs offense that runs the wing T. So a stellar play there that goes for 44 yards. So after the 44-yard pickup, in motion from left to right, it will be a handoff, and muscling forward will be Mathis. So the senior will pick up 5 yards on first down with 8:30 remaining in the first quarter of action in the 7-0 contest. Second down and medium situation. A read option, handoff to Mathis, right side. He'll bounce off the right hip of the right guard and plunges forward for 2 yards. So that will set up a 3rd down and 3 after back-to-back Mathis runs. So now 3rd down and 3, 7:45 remaining in this opening frame of action. 7-0 the score. Ventura currently leading after it was a 26-yard hookup off of a Cade Ledesma pass to Jaden Klein. Chevrevia to Mathis again, and the 5-6 bowling ball bounces forward across the 20-yard line and into the red zone of the Cougars and picks up a 1st down.
Yeah, good job by Mathis. I love watching this kid. And we know with Babcock, Chevrevia, Mathis, plenty of playmakers on this offense. And it might just be a night, Cam, where we have big plays on both sides. And I'm fine with that. I'm always down with a high-scoring, fun game, big plays being trading blows, almost like a great middleweight boxing fight where they're just trading shot after shot after shot. I want to see a rivalry game where it's like 38-35.
That title bout. Wing
Yes.
T formation near side of the field will be Bruce Mathis. Hand off to Mathis. He'll work along the left side across the 16 to the 15-yard line as the senior Nick Lansky's there on the stop.
Yeah, Lansky, the Mike linebacker, the middle linebacker, just making his presence felt on that carry. And I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Mathis and Lansky go head-to-head tonight.
Right.
As Buena loves to run between the tackles, and Ventura loves to send their middle linebacker crashing towards that middle gap. And if that happens tonight, we'll see who has the advantage. On that one, it was Lansky.
Lansky, leading tackler this season. Andrew Stewart, the junior, working towards the bottom of the formation for the Bulldogs. Keeping it himself is Chevaria. He'll make his way across the 13 to the 12-yard line, nearest the left hash mark, with 6:15 remaining in the first quarter of play and a 7-0 edge for Ventura.
Huge down, 3rd and 4, down 7-0. Ventura's offense just frothing at the mouth to get the ball back. They want to try to get up 2 scores in this game or just answer a Buena score. And for the Bulldogs right now, I don't think 3 points is going to be enough tonight. I do feel like 7s are where you're going to have to get when you're this close to the goal line.
Toward the right side of the wing T formation, the slot back will be Jake Murphy, the sophomore. Play action, Chevaria, the southpaw, rips it, and it's a one-hopper and incomplete. Zach Rodriguez, the safety, came over to disrupt the play.
Yeah, that time a good job. Texas Tanner, the whip defensive end, as they call their weak side DN. Texas Tanner was able to get some pressure as well. And I mentioned you need to get touchdowns instead of field goals. Good stop by Ventura, and now Buena is going to have to settle for a 29-yard attempt.
So Butterbaugh this season, 4 of 6 from the field. Her longest this season, 26 yards, and Coach Bolin said she's been receiving a lot of interest from soccer clubs as her stellar kicking has gained her quite a bit of the notoriousness, and it's deflected by the Ventura defense, special teams unit rather, with 5:36 remaining in this first quarter of play in a 7-0 game. Ventura still holding on to the one-possession advantage.
Great job. You get in the red zone. For the Buena Bulldogs, you have to come up with points. The Ventura defense gets a crucial pressure on 3rd down, a deflected field goal on 4th down, and now you get the ball back, up 7-0, and an offense that has to feel very confident. On that first possession, Cam, they had a 19-yard gain, another 19-yard gain, a 26-yard touchdown, and a 15-yard gain. That is one way of explosive plays to score and score fast. And for Ventura on the first possession, they did just that.
Left to right motion is Dawson. Handoff right side. Now cutting back to the left and slashing up in between the hash marks is Kapler. And a little bit of reinforcements as the Cougars cavalry pushes Kapler forward at about 4 yards shy of the first down. It's a 6-yard run.
Yeah, good gain on first down. They're going to end up tacking it up to the 27-yard line. And for Kapler, that's what he does really well. We know that he can bounce it outside and get 20, 30 yards, but when you need the tough run inside, he was hit about 3 yards past line of scrimmage, carried the defense for another 4.
5 minutes remaining in this opening period. 7-0, Ventura leads. Right to left motion, this time it's Klein. Willis with time to throw a fluttering pass that's incomplete as he did look for Klein. Good coverage on the play coming from the Buena Bulldogs as Tyler Tonoli, the junior safety, was there in coverage.
And Zach Babcock, their nickel back / Sam linebacker, they play him in that nickel position in this 4-2-5. He came with heat and was able to hit Carson Willis as he threw that ball. If it's a clean pocket, I think we might have seen a touchdown because the receiver had a step, but it was a great job by Babcock, the junior, to get pressure and hit the quarterback.
Willis on a 3rd and 3 brings Dawson in motion, but it looks to be a false start.
Their 3rd offensive penalty already this game.
It could be potentially an illegal shift because Dawson may not have been set. It looks like they'll just call it a false start, I believe.
Yeah, back up 5 yards instead of 3rd and 3. A 3rd and 8 call is much different than a 3rd and 3 call for an offensive coordinator.
Changes the complexion of your game call because now you could potentially hand it off to Kapler for some hard-earned yard, but now looks like more of a passing situation. But instead, they'll defer to Kapler, who muscles up in between the hash marks, closer to the left hash, and is stopped at the 25-yard line with under 4:30 remaining in this first quarter of action. It will bring up a 4th down.
Yeah, Ricky Henry getting the stop, the nose tackle for this team. They'll rotate Ricky Henry and about 3 of their starting offensive linemen at that nose tackle position. Randall, Chandler, and Hoff will all get playing time there. Great job on the effort by Henry to wrap up and get Kapler down. They tried for that inside run. Maybe they were trying to catch the defense sleeping. It did not work.
Zach Rodriguez to punt this one away as he stands at his own 11-yard line. This one will sail high above the peering lights here at Larrabee Stadium, and this one will trickle across the 35 to the 33-yard line and goes out of bounds.
Yeah, Joaquin Garcia was back there. A good effort by him to just back away as the punt was high and away from Garcia. And a really nice punt by Rodriguez there to change the field and pin Buena back to their own 32-yard line.
So 3:44 remaining in this opening quarter of action, and this will be Buena's second offensive drive of the evening. Last time out, it was a butterball blocked field goal. And Chevrolet and company seem to move the ball effectively, blending in a nice mix of Bruce Mathis to run the football, and then Zach Babcock able to also catch a big play. Right to left motion on the end around. It's Jake Murphy, the sophomore. Tries to cut back up along the left hash mark as he skitters to the 35-yard line, a 3-yard scamper.
Yeah, sophomore to sophomore, Jack to Jake on that one. One of the slot backs in this wing T. And the wing T, I love when it's an option-based offense or a wing T offense, kind of one of these old-school offenses. You need your offensive linemen to be disciplined, but you really put the defense on their heels if they're not sound and assignment football oriented. And that time the defense was, as it was only a 2-yard pickup.
To the right hip.
I think that might have been movement on the D-line, maybe. Nope, they're going to say offense.
Another false start. That's a third we've seen combined between Ventura and Buena. But Chevrolet, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of trust from that coaching staff to believe in a quarterback, especially a sophomore quarterback like Chevrolet, to come out and execute what tends to be a pretty complex offense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not an easy offense to learn, but it's one that once you have a grasp of, you're waiting for the defense to mess up. That is the key to these type of offenses, especially the wing T, where you're going to have a lot of movement in the backfield and a great power back in Mathis.
5 rushers. Chevrolet peels out left. Pressure coming. Tries to set his feet. Darts, and it glances off the hands of his intended target, Jackson Geyer.
And Texas Tanner came through again the second time today that the whip defensive end made his presence known. And that time, fortunately for Buena, it's a lefty quarterback and not a righty. So Chevrolet just kept running to his left, tried to get to a receiver. If he's a righty there, he probably just has to throw it out of bounds. It was incomplete nonetheless, but at least he gave his offense a chance.
And a quick substitution on the field as Robert Buckley, the senior wide receiver, will exit the contest for Buena. And the slot back and Murphy lined up towards the right side of the line. 2:36 remaining in this first quarter of action. Buena will use a timeout. We've seen, again, a healthy sprinkle of Bruce Mathis. We'll see if that streak continues as we're winding down to this first quarter here at the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week, with 20 doctors in 5 locations in Ventura County, all with one goal in mind: to get you back in the game. Ventura Orthopedics specializes in sports medicine, general orthopedics, pain management, pediatric, and MRI. Ventura Orthopedics offers exceptional therapy services featuring 26 highly skilled physical and occupational therapists. Learn more at VenturaOrtho.com or call to schedule an appointment at 800-698-1280. And also make sure to follow more of our action on Twitter at VCS Preps. And make sure also to subscribe to VC Star. And again, today's broadcast is a product of the Ventura County Star, your local leader in high school sports in the Ventura County area. To support this broadcast and all the year-round sports coverage by the sports team at the Star, sign up for a print or digital subscription to the Ventura County Star. Visit subscribe.vcstar.com to see all of our special offers. And out of the timeout, it will be Murphy again, huddled up towards the right hip of the right tackle. Chevrolet pivots to his left side, unloads, ball dislodged out of the hand of the intended target in Jackson Geyer, and he was walloped upon. Trevor Kuntz, the strong safety, came up and made a sensational play.
Great defense. That time you get a left-handed quarterback moving to his right on 3rd and 13. That is going to be a tough quarterback decision for Steve Young was trying to attempt that, to have to try to thread that needle. And for a sophomore quarterback in varsity, that is a great low percentage opportunity for the Ventura defense. And because of that, you get a big stop on third down, and now the ball back with what should be pretty good field position.
And Ledesma late to get off the field, and a timeout just in time by Ventura. Ledesma thought there needed to be one more player out on the field, but there was another Cougar that had struck out to the field to fill that void, as it was a first timeout used by Coach Garcia with 2:29 remaining in the first quarter of action in a 7-0 game. And since that opening gadget play touchdown from Ledesma to Klein, both offenses somewhat stalled in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think right now for Buena, they have to be able to block better because I mentioned Tanner's name twice, but they're bringing the heat with safeties, linebackers, and they're getting pressure on the sophomore quarterback. On the other side, I think for Ventura, keep doing what you're doing. You struck gold with the first possession with 4 big plays of 15-plus yards. I like your chances of hitting the big play again. Remember, if there wasn't a clean rusher on the last possession, we probably seen a 75-yard touchdown. The plays are there to be made. You just have to be able to stay in the pocket and strike it downfield. So for Ventura right now, I like what I've seen offensively. For the Buena Bulldogs, it has to get better up front, or else it could be a long day.
Khalil Alaboud back to punt this one away at his own 16-yard line with Zach Rodriguez set to return this punt for the Cougars at his own 40-yard line nearest the left hash. Alaboud with a rugby-style punt. This one with quite the hectic, frenetic hop at the 45-yard line, but scooping it up is Rodriguez across the 50, cuts back inside and has daylight. 40, 35, 30. Rodriguez can't go all the way. Touchdown, Cougars. There's nitrous in his veins. He scoops and it goes 40, 55 yards for the touchdown with 2:08 remaining in the first quarter, and now a 13-0 game.
That is why you love Rodriguez as a return man. I said it earlier, he is a kid that does not care where the ball goes. He will track it down, go north-south. That time showed the ability near midfield to cut back, and then it was open space in front of him. A great return from Zach Rodriguez, and you want a return man that has no fear, and that is exactly what Zach Rodriguez shows. The player limping off the field for Buena, he came limping away at the end of the play, was Paul Gomez, the senior. It appeared to be, I don't know, some sort of leg injury. He tried to get off the field, couldn't make his way there, but how about Zach Rodriguez, Cam? That was quite the return, and now a huge 13-0 lead.
A sensational play, and what Rodriguez did well was allow the special teams defensive unit to slide all the way to the near side of the field, and what an exquisite cut to make his way back from the Ventura 45 in between the hash, then jumped outside of the right hash mark and took it all the way into the end zone. And talk about timely to push it to a 2-possession game now, and now Buena with their backs against the wall. And again, it goes back when Coach Bolin and I spoke with one another. He said, we showed a lot of fight in the Pacifica game. I thought that was the best game of our season despite the loss. It was a 49-7 endeavor there, but then coming out against Channel Islands, only a 1-point win, and then losing to Rio Mesa 24-13, where Coach Bolin said, I saw no fight from our guys, next to no fight from our guys, and we can't have that. And I preached to my guys this week that we want to go have it. If we want this, we have to go get it.
Yeah, on special teams that time, it was a great effort from Zach Rodriguez, great blocking upfield, and just being able to make a few guys miss. There would have been no fault if he picked up 10 yards on that return, but the fact that he was able to keep his balance, follow the blockers, and get about 65 was really impressive.
Riemann splits the uprights, and now it is a 14 to a goose egg contest with 2:08 remaining in the first quarter of play. Here are the Ventura Orthopedics game of the week between the Ventura Cougars and the Buena Bulldogs. And if you are just joining us, a very merry welcome to Larrabee Stadium alongside our marvelous producer, Anthony Placencia, alongside Kent Brown, Cam Molina with you. And again, Ventura Orthopedics has one goal to get you back in the game. The doctors are well versed in the special orthopedics needs of both the amateur and professional athlete. Many of their physicians currently serve as team doctors for most of the area high schools and community colleges. 20 doctors, 26 physical therapists, all within athletes' best health performance in mind. Learn more at VenturaOrtho.com today or call to schedule an appointment at 800-698-1280.
Well, Ventura's, when baseball, it's the World Series time, there's the cycle. In football, you kind of have 3 phases of the game to score a touchdown: offense, defense, and special teams. Check for offense, check for special teams. We'll see if the Cougars' defense can maybe get a score later this game. There are still about 38 minutes left in this game for the defense to say, don't count us out yet.
Yes.
So maybe 2 phases, check. The third phase is still there.
And that will be an illegal kick as Riemann sent it skying to the right side, far side of the field where the Buena fan section is out and goes out near the 30-yard line. So good field position for the Bulldogs as they will have their third offensive sequence of this first quarter. And with their backs against the wall, they need to be able to piece something together here. They've all but picked up maybe 2 first downs.
Yeah, for Buena, this is the drive of the game, down 14 points in the late stages of the first quarter.
From their own 35, handoff Mathis left side for about 2 yards.
They're going to need Mathis to have a huge game tonight, but the longer you're down double digits, the more likely you are to have to scrap the run on first and second down and go to a traditional throwing the football if you're down 2-3 scores. So this drive will set the tone and what I believe to be for the rest of the night, but certainly for the rest of this half. You get a score here, you're right back in the game. You can keep the offense you want. If you get a 3 and out, or if you don't get a first down and Ventura scores again, all of a sudden your best offensive weapon in Mathis kind of gets negated.
Correction, run by Murphy for 2 yards with Chevarria organizing the offense with $1:25 left in this first quarter. Play action, Chevarria scans, left side ball, glances off the mid of Amari Diltz, the junior tight end.
Yeah, that is one good play call, poor execution. Should have been a gain, and if Diltz is able to turn it upfield, he's right near the sticks, approaching the 50-yard line. Instead, it was dropped, and it sets up another 3rd and long.
Chevarria this season, 62% completion rating, 670 passing yards, 7 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, but all but 1 completion so far in this contest. And as a sophomore, again, we've talked about his composure in the pocket, though the pressure's been coming his way. He's delivered some strikes. It's just up to his receivers to make some of those plays. 4 wide receiver set. Bottom of the formation is Josh Jones. Chevarria looks left to the flat. Ball reeled in by Murphy, and he picks up maybe 3 yards across the 40 to the 41-yard line, and that brings up 4th down with a minute remaining in the first.
A great job from Ventura getting the stop, and now they get the ball, maybe, unless there's a trick play or a fumble on special teams, they should get the ball back up 2 scores, and of course, Zach Rodriguez, he just had 1 return for a touchdown. He's going to line up at the 25, and you know his mentality is get this football by any way possible, turn it upfield, and see if I can get another. Great defense, though, on that drive for the Cougars.
We'll see if Alaboud punts this towards Rodriguez. He has that rugby-style punt, and he will try to angle a left, but it will be a straight-on kick to Rodriguez. Fortunately enough, the special teams unit for the Bulldogs scampering to the football, and no return this time for the Swiss Army knife on the Cougar side. And Ventura will take over possession of the football for the 4th time in this quarter with 24.2 seconds remaining and having the football at their own 23.
A net of 33 yards on that punt, no return. Excellent job by Alaboud. And now this Buena defense, turnover would be great. Remember, the first possession, I talked about it maybe being a shootout in a high-scoring game. Buena was knocking on the door, 1st and 10 at the 12. They end up missing a field goal, and since then it's been all Ventura. The defense would love to force a turnover, get the offense the ball back near the red zone. But for this Ventura offense, we've seen big playability. Last time they got a breather because of the special teams touchdown, but I know Carson Willis and this offense are ready to go.
Jaden Klein, the H-back. Dawson on the fake. He'll end up receiving the sweeping pass towards the right side of the field, but great job by the Bulldogs defense sinking their fangs into Dawson and stopping him behind the line of scrimmage near the Ventura 15-yard line. They're going to spot him at about the 17-yard line, so that would be a loss of 6 and bring up 2nd down and 16 when we come here for the second quarter of action in what is a 14-0 contest as the Ventura Cougars strike offensively. Then on the special team side of things, we'll see if they can get the hat trick with a defensive touchdown here on the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week between the Cougars and Bulldogs. At Ventura Orthopedics, they offer state-of-the-art technology to ensure their patients receive the best care possible, always staying abreast of the latest developments in orthopedic medicine. The doctors and surgeons have been among the first in the community to perform many advanced orthopedic treatments, including total hip replacement. Learn more at VenturaOrtho.com today and let them help you to get back in the game. And also, this is a product of BCStar.com. Today's broadcast is a product of the Ventura County Star, your local leader in high school sports for the Ventura County area. To support this broadcast and all the year-round sports coverage by the sports team at the Star, sign up for a print or digital subscription to the Ventura County Star. Visit subscribe.bcstar.com to see all of our special offers. You'll also want to check out our Twitter handle, which is at BCSPreps.
Great start for Ventura in this rivalry game, crosstown rivals, Pacific View League game. We are glad to be here for the third time this season. And for the Ventura Cougars, I mentioned when we saw them play their best this year, the line was excellent. Today there's been 2 big penalties on the offensive line, but outside of that, they have been protecting Carson Willis, making big plays. And then, of course, the trick play so far, the only offensive touchdown today was the trick play, Ledesma getting the ball to Jaden Klein.
A sweeping pass left side, caught by Klein across his own 15, short of the 20 at the 19, maybe 2 yards, bringing up a 3rd down and 14 to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you call in your playbook for this. I would say you want to do a 5-step drop, 7-step drop, and hope that one or multiple of your receivers are open and the quarterback can find him. But realistically here, it might not be the worst idea. Try to get it to one of your playmakers 5-6 yards past the line of scrimmage and hope that you either have blocking available on the outside or he just makes a few guys miss. I'd be a little bit safe here knowing your defense has been great.
Willis facing 2 safeties deep, will just go to his check down on the right side. Kapler trying to make something out of nothing across the 25 and bullied out of bounds short of the 30. And a correction, actually receiving the football, is Eric Maxwell, the junior, who this season has 297 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, and has also made an impact in the receiving game too.
Yeah, it was a short gain. It's time to punt. A good hold from the Buena defense. And for Ventura, you like the way your defense is played. Your offense was in a 3rd and 14, not where you want to be. It's not the worst thing there to have to punt, gain about 6, 7, 8 yards, and hopefully your defense holds again and you get the ball back.
Rodriguez to punt this one away.
And he's so good he might just fake it and score another touchdown.
Joaquin Garcia, the junior, back to receive this one in a high-flying punt that sails in the night sky, and this one takes a back hop. Ventura seeing that it's starting to stumble back towards no man's land, and the ball is down at the 47-yard line of the Bulldogs.
Yeah, the smoke from the tri-tip sandwich coming over the press box here, and we are right of the press box at about the 40 to 35-yard line where Buena currently has the ball. I have to get one of those tri-tip sandwiches at the half. I didn't get it last game. We know George Contreras normally does his tri-tip rankings. Maybe I'll give my ranking. I've had it several years. Pretty much every year I've broadcasted.
Joe Curley said it was really good. He said he enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's one of the best in the county. It always rates either probably 1st or 2nd for me year in and year out.
Mathis, the feature back. Cheveria looks left. Great wide receiver screen set up. And a great reeled-in catch by Robert Buckley, who makes his way across the 40-yard line to the 39 and picks up a total of 16 yards.
A good job by Buckley, the senior receiver. And that time, just a quick screen. You try to hope that the defense has less guys over there than you have blockers, and that's exactly what happened. And Buckley was able to pick up good yardage, get the 1st down, and move it past the 40.
And a great job by Coach Bolin and this coaching staff and OC Anthony Morales to set up the wide receiver screen and get Cheveria going, making sure that although he's making great passes, he just needs to complete something to his receivers. Murphy comes in motion, and it's a handoff to him as he tries to deke outside of the 40-yard line and is dropped right at the 4 of the 40-yard line. And a good tackle made by Nick Lansky for the Ventura defense.
Yeah, Lansky was there. Josh Rio, the Sam linebacker, also there. The linebackers were there, ready to make the play at the line of scrimmage, a gain of about a half a yard, and it'll be 2nd and very long. And there's a lot of movement in that backfield, but we said if your eye discipline is strong on defense, you understand potentially where the carry's going to make, you can be there near the line, and that time it was a win for the linebackers for the Cougars.
Jesse Beatty at the bottom of the formation at the 40-yard line. Cheveria, deep pitch to Mathis. He'll peel along the right hashes and gets to the 35-yard line. About a gain of 3 or 4, but he ended up trekking a lot further than 3 or 4 yards as deep as that pitch was.
Yeah, you're going to need 4 downs here potentially. Your ball's at the 35. Your 3rd and about 6. So if you're Buena down 14-0, do or die drive again. And last time you went 3 and out. This time you've already picked up 1 first down. You have to try to find a way here to get near the red zone and eventually score. So if you don't get all 6 here, you got to think the Bulldogs go for 4th.
Chevrolet along the right hash, play action. Looks left, the southpaw fires left side of the field, and it's deflected. A great one-on-one play made on the outside by the Ventura defense, and a stellar breakup by the Cougars.
Yeah, a great job there, and for Ventura, it was Camilo Avalos coming up and making the play. That was a big-time play by the corner, because if that ball is caught, it's a touchdown. You're turning upfield and you're going the distance. Instead, Avalos was able to get his hand in on it, and now it's 4th and 6, and a big decision upcoming for Buena.
And the intended target was Buckley, and if this is 4 down territory, well, we'll see if it is. It's about 6 yards.
I think
to
it
the
has
first
to be.
down marker.
Yeah, I feel like you have to roll the dice here and go for this.
Well, Murphy's lined up in the slot in a 4 wide receiver set. Chevrolet along the right hash. Wheels to his left, sets his feet, one-on-one coverage, targeting Zach Babcock, and it's broken up, but the PI flag comes out.
Yeah, Michael Marin was there, the corner. Pretty good coverage, but ended up bumping the receiver at the end of the play. A great deep ball, very pretty deep ball from the lefty Chevrolet, but a little bit of contact draws the flag, and it will now move Buena up towards the red zone.
Just as good as a completion, a first down for this Bulldogs club, and the 4th down attempt pays off, and we've seen Bruce Mathis handle the workload for this offense this season, entering today's contest of the 1,891 total yards of offense for this Bulldogs club. Bruce entered today with 918 of that, nearly 50% of your offense based off of one guy.
Yeah, it's not that uncommon in high school football, though. Sometimes if you have a running back you trust, feed him the football until the defense either gives up or you're up enough to take him out and have a breather.
Handoff, Mathis, left side, maintains his balance across the 10 to the 9-yard line, an 11-yard skirting run along the middle of the hash marks for Mathis.
Yeah, 1st and goal upcoming for the Bulldogs. They were at the 12-yard line earlier and resulted in a missed field goal. Now it's time for some points. If you can hold, if you're Ventura and you hold Buena to a field goal attempt here, that is a win for this defense. For Buena, you cut the lead here in half. It's game on with plenty of time remaining.
Stewart one-on-one towards the outside. He's matched up with Michael Marin. Handoff is to Murphy. Tries to size up. It's a handoff up the middle to Mathis, and he runs into an avalanche of Cougars. It was Murphy on the outside trying to set up a block, but that brings up 2nd down and goal.
Simon Brown, the outside linebacker, stifling the ball carrier on that one for the quick 1-yard gain.
2nd down and goal for this Bulldogs bunch. And Coach Bolin, who, a lot like Coach Tim Garcia, coming back to coach his alma mater, once a Bulldog himself, now coaching future Bulldogs. Chevrolet. And the wing tee set, keeps it himself, looks left, steps into the pocket, tries to peel right, shakes up a defender across the 10, but then he's mollywopped short of the 5-yard line.
Flag down in the backfield, and now a late flag from the linesman. So there was a flag in the backfield, which usually indicates holding, and then the late flag, it's either another hold or it could be a post-penalty personal foul. So this could very well be assessed. Holding backs you up, and then you bring the distance up, and it's post-play, and you end up having it inside the 5 or 6 yard line. It'll be interesting exactly what the 2 calls are.
Personal foul, face mask on Ventura. 2 personal fouls on Ventura. I don't know if that was unnecessary roughness. I didn't think Cheverria's knee was down. That is the only thing I can think of was potentially a late hit. It's left up for speculation. Regardless, Buena now has even better field position than what they had before with under 7 minutes remaining in the first half and down 2 possessions, 14-0.
Yeah, they moved this ball to the 3-yard line, it appears. And so good field position upcoming for Buena. A great job here, a great chance to try to get a touchdown here as it's now 1st and goal from the 3.
And Chevrolet, he's worked on a few shallow field passes, a couple checkdowns. They come out in that wing T, direct snap is to Mathis. He lowers his shoulder and plods into the end zone. Touchdown, Bulldogs, 14-6. And Mathis with his 12th rushing touchdown of the season.
Yeah, it was 14-0 at the end of one. A big job by the Buena defense the last two possessions, holding Ventura in check, and we are nearing the midway point of the second quarter, and Buena gets in. Mathis is the stud running back that they rely on, and from 3 yards out, he gets the touchdown rush.
Butterball to attempt the point after touchdown. She is 16 of 17 on the season. Here comes the snap. The hold kick is down on the way, and it easily moves and slithers in between the crossbars to make it a 14-7 game with under 7 minutes remaining in the first half of action. And the Bulldogs finally on the board and able to respond. And you have to credit not only Coach Ryan Boland, who's in his third season, but OC Anthony Morales, the great wide PI on that deep pass as well.
Yeah, I think when you look at that possession, Cam, there's a couple things that you start with. The offensive line, best performance they've had on a drive this game. Chavarria, smart possession. His deep ball towards the end zone gave his receiver a chance. Because of that, there was the pass interference on the bump. If that ball is 10 yards by the receiver or 5 yards short, that ball is probably not in the position where the defensive player has to commit a pass interference. So a good drive by Chavarria, great finish by Mathis, and the offense taking advantage of a timely penalty or two. That ends up being not a great possession for the Ventura defense because you had the personal foul near the goal line and the pass interference, but Buena takes advantage of it and cuts the lead in half.
8-play, 53-yard drive that lasted just a hair over 3:30 as Butterball sails this one right, and it's scooped up at the 30-yard line and shaking off one defender and weaseling his way across the 45-yard line. I thought was Dawson, but I couldn't exactly make out the number from our perspective. However, great field position for Ventura yet again.
Yeah, it's another short kick. They said it was Kapler on the return, so you get the ball all the way up to the 43-yard line. They had pretty similar field position on their first possession, and they moved the ball very well. So for Ventura now, you were just stalled your last two possessions. You're looking to build this two-score lead back up, and also you'd like to waste some clock if you can. If you can punch one in and waste 5 or 6 minutes, that would be perfect. But the last two possessions, Buena's done a great job of stopping Ventura.
Ledesma in at quarterback. 3 wide receivers set. The H-back and Klein comes in motion from left to right. It's a handoff. Kapler, he'll deke and duck and make his way shy of the 50 to the 49-yard line for a 6-yard push.
Good gain on first down. Now the ball is up near the 50-yard line, just at the 49. And this opens up your playbook on 2nd and 4 as Ledesma stays in at quarterback.
Well, Ledesma has been called an Iron Man on this team. He plays wide receiver and now on the field as quarterback, but Coach Garcia believes he can play at the next level as a safety, and he's been stellar this season as he will come out in the shotgun formation. 5 wide receivers set. Klein comes in motion. Ledesma keeps it himself. Barrels across the 50 to the 40, across the 40 to the 35-yard line, and finally stopped at the 34 for a 17-yard piercing run by the junior.
A good job. Follow your blockers and then help your teammate out at the end. Push him forward. Get about an extra 5 or 6 yards.
Kapler comes back onto the field, and for Ledesma, born with a birth defect that required 2 U-shaped metal bars to be surgically implanted to correct said birth defect, which is pectus excavatum. And basically, the middle of his chest was sunken in to where it almost affected the heart and the lungs. Fortunately, according to Ledesma, it was more of a cosmetic thing until high school when he had it surgically repaired after his freshman year of football, and he makes his way across the 35 to about the 33-yard line for 2 yards. But according to his dad, Steve, who again is the wide receiver coach for the Ventura Cougars, saying he was in a lot of pain. He had to go through a lot in order to feel like he could perform at his best, and they had to buy him. He and his wife had to purchase Cade a chair that would allow him to sit at a certain angle that wouldn't allow him to feel as much pain because he couldn't lay on his stomach, he couldn't lay on his back, he couldn't be at a 45-degree angle.
And what was it, pectus escapatus?
Yes.
I believe I'm going to just check with our
Excavate
producer.
him. Excavate him.
That's the first time we've used that on the air.
Ledesma looks left in an incomplete pass with one-on-one coverage towards the far side of the field.
And what that shows, too, is adversity, getting over adversity, going through a challenge in your life. And at a young age, it's not always the case. A lot of times you get through your teen years, maybe adversity doesn't strike a whole lot. And for Cade Ledesma, he's been there. He's gone through things that are way harder than something on the football field. And so far, he's been pretty good on the football field, but he's had to be there, too.
Well, Ledesma now lining up at wide receiver, and he said of his older brother, Stevie, who was the quarterback for the Cougars a handful of years back, I always wanted to be the quarterback and be number 7 when I was younger. I always wanted to be just like him, and he gets the chance to in a historic rivalry. Hand off to Klein across the 30, chugging forward, daylight, 10-5 touchdown. And Klein with his 7th rushing touchdown of the season, and he barrels forward for 34 yards. With under 5 minutes remaining in the first half of action, it is now 20-7.
Yeah, 2-minute possession results in a score. Klein second of the game, and another big play from this Ventura offense, this time a 34-yard touchdown rush. And this offense answered. It had been 2 possessions without a score. We know how effective this Ventura offense can be, and Jaden Klein that time able to get to the outside untouched going in for the score.
Riemann with the right leg boomstick puts it through the uprights. 21-7, 4:53 remaining in the first half of action. A 34-yard rushing touchdown by Klein. He picked up his 2nd receiving touchdown of the season off the Ledesma touchdown pass early in the ballgame, actually the first drive of the contest, and then a 34-yard rushing touchdown. So on the season, he now has 9 total touchdowns, 1 away from hitting that double-digit echelon.
Great drive, quick answer, and just as Buena was getting back in this game, the Ventura offense sharp on that possession. Good field position to start, and then they took advantage of huge plays, and Klein's a star. Klein's getting, Division I offers at University of San Diego, a kid that, we all can expect to play on that next level, whether he'll be an outside linebacker or a tight end / fullback, it remains to be seen. But for Jaden Klein, he's a guy, no matter where you put him out there, he will make plays. And that time, it was a great read from Carson Willis, giving it to that H-back, moving him to the left side, and then wide open, streaking down the sideline.
Riemann to send this one away with Mathis working towards the left side of the field. It takes a hop of the 20. Mathis picks it up. He crosses his own 20, works towards the outside of the left hash and gets to his own 31-yard line for an 11-yard return following the 5-play, 57-yard drive that lasted just a hair under 2 minutes at 1:55 to make it a 21-7 game in favor of the hometown Cougars here at Larrabee Stadium and Eric Turner Field. And once again, you are listening to a product of VCStar.com alongside Anthony Placencia, Kim Brown, Cam Molina on hand. Today's broadcast is a product of the Ventura County Star, your local leader in high school sports for the Ventura County area. To support this broadcast and all of our year-round sports coverage by the sports team at the Star, sign up for a print or digital subscription to the Ventura County Star. Visit subscribe.vcstar.com to see all of our special offers. Head towards the left side of the line, it's Jack Geyer, hatching as that slot back. Turning a handoff to Mathis. He'll work in between the hashes and gallops forward across the 40 to the 41. 10 yards. We'll see if it moves the chains. He was right at the sticks, and that is the case. 10-yard pickup and a first down.
The good thing is when the ball gets started somewhere on first down, they always start it at the edge of that line. So as soon as you cross it, get the 10 yards, move it along. I know there was some controversy in the Boise State game a couple weeks ago where the ball starts on the 25, they get to the 35, and they're measuring, and it's like, well, hold up. If the ball touches the 35, it's a first down because it's the initial starting possession. And a good job there again by Mathis, just getting a nice hole, following that hole, lowering his shoulder, and then driving a defender through for the first.
Here's the end-around handoff to Geyer, and Geyer works up along the 40-yard line across the 45, shy of the 50, however, at the 48-yard line and a 7-yard scamper.
Buena's offenses seem to finally start a rhythm. Last possession was the best they've had all game. The offensive line, its best performance so far in any drive. And so far in 2 plays, they've ripped off about 18 yards. So a really nice job. It was Mathis on the first gain, Geyer on the second, but 2 guys you can rely on and really good blocking.
Geyer working towards the bottom of the formation. He's in motion from left to right. It's a handoff to Mathis, working for some hard-earned yards and strong-arming his way to move the chain as he slashes forward for 3.
I think he's going to have this. It looks like
like he's right at the marker, and if it was in the indication last time where the ball was right at the marker, I think they'll move the chains, and that is the case. So a 3-yard scamper by the senior halfback.
He's tough, and I know that for Buena, we've seen him over the years, and you mentioned sometimes size, you just look at somebody and you go, I don't know quite how they'll pan out. 5'6", 172 on paper. Sounds like a kid that's probably going to be more outside runs. That is just not how Mathis plays. He is that running back for this team. He's not one of those slot backs, and he does carry defenders. I bet he squats a lot, is my guess.
5 defensive linemen shown for the Cougars, and I think a little bit of early motion coming from the Bulldogs, and that is the case. So it will be a 5-yard penalty, and it will bring up 1st and 15. Babcock was one-on-one towards the outside against Mayron, the DB for the Cougars. So we've seen on several occasions where we have those one-on-one matchups, or rather when the Bulldogs have those one-on-one matchups against the Cougars, that Chevrolet has not been afraid to take those shots.
Yeah, he throws a good deep ball, and if it's one-on-one and he has the time, he will try to exploit the defense. Pretty good coverage from a lot of the defensive backs so far. First time in the last 2 drives, though, that Buena's had an offensive penalty, and that is not what you want when you're down 14.
Chevrolet under duress, throws left and incomplete, and coming in with howling and bad intentions was Simon Brown for the Cougars.
Yeah, second time today that Brown has been able to get pressure in the backfield. The outside linebacker making his presence known. That's a pretty good last name as well.
Yes, Kent Brown. We get it. You're not biased, are you? You're not? No.
And the black and gold, my hometown colors. I like being here in Larrabee Stadium, but whether we're at Buena or Ventura, it's always a lot of fun. And no, there's no bias in these broadcasts, but if somebody with the last name Brown makes a play, I'm not going to be upset.
2:44 remaining in the first half of action, 21-7, and the flags fly. False start yet again by this Bulldog bunch. And Coach Bolin emphasized this week focus. And one of the drills that he likes to do happens to be on game day, and it's called the Gatorade circuit. Essentially, all of his players line up in a single filed line, and he has a huge jug full of Gatorade where everyone can drink up to 5 cups. One kid fills the cup, next kid fills the cup. If anything spills, then it's not good. There are ramifications. But fortunately, it's a sign more so that focus is as that one falls incomplete. Chevrolet look deep towards the middle of the field. But they don't want to allow a drop to spill, and it's a matter of focus. And also, Coach Bolin mentioned no cramps this season, so it really helps out on the hydration aspect.
Yeah, exactly. You get those electrolytes in with the Gatorade. Definitely helps. And at this point of the season, the cramping is never as big an issue as maybe early in the year. But it was a really hot week, pretty much unseasonably for late October. I know in beach cities, it's been over 90, so it's really been a hotter than normal late October.
Working towards the near side of the field is Andrew Stewart. Towards the bottom of the formation, an off-kiltered set. Chevrolet peels, fires, caught by Murphy, tries to work back towards the hash mark, and then he is just plowed over as Nick Lansky, the senior Mike linebacker, is there with a big tackle.
Not a lot you can do on 3rd and 21, especially when you get your quarterback rolling out of the pocket. I think the best chance would have been if you were able to stay in the pocket, try to get something deep, but instead, very quickly, when Chevrolet rolled out, it was either going to be a short pass that results in many missed tackles, or it's going to be well short of the sticks, which is what happened.
Alabud to send this one away with Rodriguez set to return. He had a punt return for a touchdown earlier in the ballgame to make it a 14-0 contest. It was a return of 55 yards.
And a lot of time left with 2 timeouts.
21-7, Cougars lead. Alabud tries to get this one off and does, and the spiraling kick is called fair at the 14-yard line.
That time, I'm surprised he fair caught it. I just know, watching him over the years, very rarely is that going to be the case. But that might be the smart decision there. Up 21-7, a minute 30 left, knowing your offense just sliced and diced the defense. You get the ball with decent field position at the 24, and now you let your offense, whether it's Ledesma or Willis, make the play. And for Rodriguez, there were 2 Buena Bulldogs bearing down on him as he caught that.
We've not seen a lot of Kapler this evening, but I think that also credits the play call and design by this Cougars bunch as Ledesma in that sub package, plus Willis, how he's been able to kind of dink and dunk his way up the field. It's proven beneficiary, and it's helped this team to a 14-point edge. Willis turns and hands off left side. Speaking of which, there's Kapler. He's outside the numbers, shy of the 40 at the 39-yard line. And he picks up 15 on the run and a first down, but there is a flag.
Yeah, late flags there, and should be a first down and then a post-play penalty, and a good gain from Kapler on that first down. And the one guy, not the unsung hero, he has 2 touchdowns, but Jaden Klein has been excellent, and it really has been the big plays. I think on both sides we expected big plays from both Buena and Ventura, but it's really been one-sided in that regard here tonight.
All the touchdowns for the Cougars over 25 yards. You had the 26-yard hookup from Ledesma to Klein, and then you factor in that 55-yard punt return for a touchdown by Rodriguez, and then the very recent Klein 34-yard rushing touchdown. Buena has not been able to limit that big play ability that the Cougars bring to the table.
Yeah, and with a minute 24 left, Ventura just got hit with a post-play personal foul, so back him up 15 yards. I was going to say you could very well be up to midfield if this penalty falls for the Buena side. Instead, it benefits the Bulldogs, and Ventura's backed up all the way near the initial sticks. So instead of it being a huge gain, it's going to be kind of marked back, almost close to 1st and 10 again.
Lansky subs out. Trevor Kuntz subs in for the Cougars. And in the slot is Rodriguez towards the right side of the field.
And I guess it was, by the way, a penalty during the play as it remains first down.
And it will be first down and 10 to go. So basically just a restart of the field position in which the Cougars had. Kapler jumps from left to right and then settles back to the right side. Willis looks along the seam. Rodriguez just outside of his outstretched left hand as he has his mitts covered up with those white gloves. And again, he had the 55-yard return for a touchdown on the punt by Buena. But also this season, he's been called on in the receiving games. 21 receptions, 373 yards, 4 touchdowns entering today's contest.
Yeah, that time you had to think that Jackson Geyer, the defensive back there, was in pretty good position, but ultimately unable to get the completion to Zach Rodriguez. It's a good play design, just a little bit of a more efficient pass, and it would have been about 30, 35 yards.
Klein, as the H-back, will motion over to the left side and provide himself as an extra blocker. There goes Kapler across the 35, and he stumbles out of bounds at the 36-yard line for 12.
Good gain. 57 seconds remaining here in the second quarter, up 14 points. If you can get up 21 here, that changes the entire dynamic of this game. For Buena, defense has to be a must here for the final 57 ticks.
And as you said, 57 seconds remaining in this first half of action. Still 2 timeouts remaining to the name of Coach Tim Garcia, who enters today with a 42-36 record, currently 3-5 on the season and 1-2 in the PVL. And
another brutal penalty.
Yes.
The offense for Ventura tonight has had a lot of penalties. For them to put up 21 points, 14 of which have come on the offensive side, the offense has had a ton of penalties. It's backed them up a bunch. Even though they scored on one of those possessions, that's also what stalled this Ventura offense a couple times tonight.
And Willis, with the congregation at his own 15-yard line, disperses the play to the rest of his playmakers. Rodriguez one-on-one towards the bottom of your screen. Klein comes in motion. Willis wipes off his right hand, scans left. Rodriguez one-on-one coverage up in the air and just outside of his catch radius, and he had just half a step on Stewart for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, now it's 3rd and 17. If you throw something short here and it's caught short of the sticks, Buena should call a timeout in that they would have 1 remaining and pretty good field position. If Ventura tries to throw the ball here and it's incomplete, you have 2 timeouts, and they're deep in their own territory. This could maybe be a steal for Buena if somehow they get the ball back with, let's say, 40, 45 seconds left in plus territory. That changes a ton as that pass, for the second time this possession, sailed over Zach Rodriguez.
Ledesma with a 5 wide out set. 3 down linemen for the Bulldogs. Ledesma hikes up his left foot, will keep it himself, cuts back in between the left hip of the right guard, and where one of the linebackers was at, and makes his way shy of the 25, and a timeout used by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, good timeout, 43 seconds remaining, and I have to think you're going to have a return man lining up close to midfield here, as it's now 4th and very long. A really ineffective drive from Ventura. You're thinking, or at least I'm thinking, maybe they can score here, get up 17 or 21 points, and instead you commit 3 penalties, a holding call, a personal foul, another holding call. That is 35 yards of penalties on that drive, and instead of getting the ball, remember, they were ripping off 12 yards, 15 yards, 16 yards, all of which came back due to the penalties. That's a brutal mistake from Ventura. And now for Buena here, you get in the locker room and it's somehow 21-14. Things are riding on your side. So a 43-second season-defining drive here late in the second quarter for the Bulldogs.
And it's, again, still early, but yes, as you said, could be a pivotal drive as, again, you said, a lot of motivation, a bit more ambition coming into the second half. Last year's game may end up being like this year's game, where it was a 20-17 win by Ventura as Rourke Riemann kicked the go-ahead 33-yard field goal with 3:38 left to give Ventura the win and seal it, as Willis in that contest had 111 yards and 2 touchdown passes. And a fair catch that's bobbled and a loose ball still, and it looks like it was recovered by Garcia inside of his own 45, but just barely.
Yeah, he dropped it. Also, a high snap on the punt for the second time tonight. That's one thing we're going to have to look forward to, Cam, is maybe one of these goes over the head of Zach Rodriguez, and all of a sudden Buena gets a touchdown or gets to recover it deep in the territory. That is twice now the snap has been high, and Rodriguez has saved the team and got the punt away.
And Tonoli, I beg your pardon, was the one that had muffed the punt momentarily, but fortunately enough recovered. So Chevrolet and company, 34 seconds remaining in this first half, trailing by 14 points, 21-7, with a timeout left in their back pocket. Chevrolet, delayed handoff to Mathis, hurdles over one of his linemen and is shy of the 44 at the 43-yard line.
Interesting call.
Yeah, I don't think there was any gain on that play. And now another timeout used by Buena, and they not only milked 10 seconds, but picked up no yards. So as you said, I think it can be defined as an interesting call.
Yeah, that time maybe they saw something at the line of scrimmage and they thought they would get the defense with a big hole and a huge gain for Mathis. He's definitely a type of running back that can bust yardage. Then they just go to the half. So a great first down stop from the Cougars.
This is the 6th offensive series for the Bulldogs as the Buena cheerleaders towards the far side of the field try at the hands of his targets.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad decision here to just drop him back, throw it deep, and see if one of your receivers can win a 50-50 ball.
And it's a 3 wide receiver set towards the right side of the field. Chevrolet steps up in the pocket. Extemporaneous play. Tucks and runs. Angles towards the sideline and gets out of bounds with 16 ticks remaining at the 47-yard line, picking up 5.
Now it's a 3rd and 5. He took what was in front of him. Nothing was open downfield. A good heads-up play from the lefty quarterback rolling to his right, which is a very difficult throw to make. So now you're near midfield. You can try to get a first down here. If you do, spike the ball, reset things, and you'll probably have one play to the outside and then a Hail Mary. If you get short here of the sticks, then maybe it's halftime, but a good gain on that play from Chevrolet.
3 deep shown by the Cougars. Babcock towards the bottom of the formation. Chevrolet steps up, rifling pass incomplete as he was looking for the shallow cross where Murphy was at, and that brings up 4th and 5. And it could be a situation where it's 4-down territory, but
I think you punt here.
The Cougars still have 2 timeouts I was going to add, so there's an opportunity at hand.
Yeah, I would say punt here, punt it as deep as you can get, and either let the clock run out, or it's just a few seconds remaining, and Ventura most likely runs the football and goes to the half. I don't think you try anything too fancy here. At least I wouldn't if I was the Buena offense.
Chevrolet lines up with 4 wide receivers, and late coming onto the field is Andrew Stewart, the junior. He now lines up as the slot back. Chevrolet over the middle, and it glances off the hands of his intended target in Stewart, as the throw was behind him, and that will be a turnover on downs with 7.1 seconds remaining. The Cougars leading by 14 points. taking the ball from the 48-yard line of the Bulldogs with 2 timeouts remaining. You might be able to run 1 play timeout, and then Riemann, whose longest field goal this season is 49 yards, might be able to rip one.
Maybe. Or even just
a lot of hypotheticals, but
or maybe you throw it to the outside, you pick up 6, 7, 8 yards, and then it's just an easier Hail Mary throw. I don't know of the two who has the cannon of the arm. If they get near the 40, probably both guys, but we did already see Ledesma thread one deep to Klein earlier in this game, so it wouldn't shock me if you try for an out pattern here, pick up some yardage, and then throw it into the end zone with 1 play remaining.
Well, Ledesma is on the field. Willis will line up under center. Lone feature back will be Kapler. Kapler will take it, cuts back inside, works along the seams, goes down with 1 tick remaining, and I think a timeout used by Coach Garcia. And as you said, Kent, this is most likely just a closer Hail Mary. But with Ledesma on the field, there's always that uncertainty that you could have another gadget play like Coach Garcia and company ran on the first drive. And a little bit of antics on the field. 21-7 the score.
I feel like we have this every year here during this game. As long as I've been doing games here, we have had somebody go and enter into the crowd, and then they just run off into the parking lot and keep going. The officials aren't even really, at this point, going to try to stop it. Just let the seniors celebrate, go on. Hopefully nobody gets in any trouble, and live to fight another day. And back to the game with 1 second left. That was a good job picking up the first down and then getting down, because if you run for another second, it's halftime. If the defense holds you up, it's halftime. So a good job on that play from Kapler. Pick up about the 10 yards, get down, call the timeout, and now you get 1 shot into the end zone.
And it's interesting to see coming out of this huddle who will be the one throwing. And Ledesma obviously showing off his arm a couple possessions ago. Of course, in the first drive of the contest, he had that throw to Klein and company.
Yeah, Willis will be the quarterback on this. But that doesn't mean they won't do a trick play and
right.
Ledesma ends up throwing it, though.
Ledesma lines up far side of the field, and Rodriguez will line up as the receiver towards the near side of the field. Willis peels to his right, maintains the play, guns it, left side, jump ball, caught, but it doesn't matter as the ball is corralled by Rodriguez inside the 10-yard line of Buena. It is 21-7, and at intermission, a 14-point edge for the hometown Cougars at Larrabee Stadium here in the 56th overall San Buenaventura rivalry. And again, what's at stake? The Suzanne Brown Memorial Trophy. We'll see who comes out with it in the second half. A 21-7 edge for the Cougars at intermission here at the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week here on VCStar.com. We'll be back with the second half of action.
Now, at the 50-yard line, the Ventura High School women's team.
We were so scared of you guys. We're like all the little footballers. I would have died.
They sent me a notice that I was.
I want to see that happen.
But I've seen a whole flock of them when they had
They ran out. It's not good. Right. Oh, yeah. What'd you think? Also, one thing is, I just noticed on mine, that's supposed to be Jackson Tire. I put the wrong name in there on my TV. So.
I know last a few years ago. They were younger than me. Or older on me. I mean, I was older than them. I didn't know anybody there except that. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know his mother. She was quite elderly. I wish I could remember some of those people's names.
At this time, down on the field, we'd like to draw your attention to the west goal. For tonight's 2 contestants will compete for a $500 scholarship, sponsored by the Oxnard Auto Center, Kick for College 2019. Tonight's kickers, number 1, from Buena High School, Christian Catano. Will have a shot to kick for a $500 scholarship. So at this time, Christian Catano will be attempting a field goal for a $500 scholarship. Good luck. That's the point of good. And that is a $500 scholarship for Christian Catano. Congratulations. Next up, kicking for Ventura High School, Cambria Houghton, kicking for Ventura High School. Good luck. Congratulations to both Christian and Cambria for winning a $500 scholarship, sponsored by Oxnard Auto Center, Kick for College 2019. Please give a hand for the seniors that kicked for the Oxnard Center Kick for College.
I ran into John just right now. I just got here, man. I just got here. Let's get to the ball, man. I saw one of you guys who wasn't on the game. Oh yeah, for sure. And this is one I thought
go on it with a minute. That's funny. That's a funny one, though. Well, let's have another good half, man.
The vivacious crowds here at Ventura High School are set for the second half of action in the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week. We're 60 seconds away between the Cougars and the Bulldogs, beginning the third quarter of play in a 21-7 game where Coach Garcia's Cougars are up by 2 possessions. And once again here on the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week on BCStar.com alongside our terrific producer Anthony Placencia, Kent Brown, Cam Molina on hand with you. Cougars came out firing. They ran some gadget plays with Kate Ledesma, able to capitalize on a 26-yard touchdown throw, and then allowing Jaden Klein, who's receiving Division I offers, to do what he does, and then also relying on special teams and defense to give the Cougars an opportunity to score on several occasions, in which they were able to do, and the Bulldogs trailed by 2 possessions.
Yeah, good job by offense, defense, and special teams all making impact. The Zach Rodriguez punt return was huge. It gave them a 2-score cushion. And then I think the Ventura offense, though, they continue to make mistakes with penalties. This could very well be a 21 or 28-point lead. Buena's hanging in there, and a lot of that does have to do with the Ventura mistakes on the offensive side. So even though you lead by 14 in a rivalry game at home, if you're Coach Garcia, you want to go into the halftime saying, guys, we have to be more disciplined. We can't keep making mistakes. This should be a game that's already almost decided, and instead you're keeping them in the ball game. And if history repeats itself, over the last several years, this has been a close game here at Larrabee Stadium in this rivalry game between Buena and Ventura, and the fact that it's still within striking distance has to give hope to Ryan Boland and his team. On the other hand, for the Buena offense, they have to be efficient this entire half. They're going to get the ball. They're going to have a chance here to get within 1 score again. The offense has to probably, you think, put up at least 3 touchdowns this half to have a realistic shot of winning this game. Maybe there's a special team score or a defensive score, but I think if the offense doesn't score at least a touchdown each quarter, they probably can't win this game.
The Cougars, who accepted the ball to start the contest, will kick it away, where Bruce Mathis and company are awaiting it. And a little squib kick that sails towards the left side of the field, and it's scooped up at the 30-yard line and trudging forward, spinning across the 35-yard line, and finally stymied as Jesse Beatty, the junior. Last time these 2 teams clashed last season, as there was a lot of energy on the field, it was a victory for the Cougars, who won 20-17, and it has been 9 consecutive victories for Ventura and the San Buena-Ventura rivalry. The last time this Buena team won was back in 2009 in a 14-10 win, and Buena with an uphill battle to try to recreate what they did in 09.
Yeah, and it will fall a lot on the running back, Bruce Mathis, for now. Bruce Matthews is still the offensive weapon that gets the most touches in the backfield. Also, Zach Babcock, they've done a good job against him.
Yes.
Do want to give a shout out to Joe Curley here from the Ventura County Star, who before the game told us, kind of wink, wink, get ready for a potential Cade Ledesma throw, and he was right on the money. But he has said Babcock is the guy on offense they have to get the ball to. That's number 12 for the team in white. And Ventura's done a great job of bracketing him.
And Mathis scurries forward for 8. However, there's a holding call against the offense, and this is a theme that carries now over to the second half of play, where we saw Ventura on several occasions with holds and false starts, but the same goes for Buena, where that offensive line just unable to execute to perfection.
Yeah, on first down, you want to be able to get positive yardage or at least no gain. Instead, you lose 10 yards here and you're backed up inside your own 25-yard line. Not the optimal start for the Buena Bulldogs.
First down, 21 to go with 11:36 in this third quarter, and a 21-7 advantage for the Cougars at Larrabee Stadium, their home turf. On Eric Turner Field, it's Cheveria along the right hash mark. Turns around, hands off. Mathis bounces off of one defender, shucks off another, and is down at the 29-yard line as he fights forward for 4.
Good job from the defense. Tanner in on the stop, coming from that defensive end position. And right now, it's a 14-point lead. Buena needs something to happen on offense, but we know this team is capable of big plays. They've been able to do it all year, and with Babcock, with Mathis, with Chevarria at the quarterback spot, and then also Robert Buckley has made some nice plays today, and he was open on a deep ball earlier that was incomplete. If that's caught, it's a huge gain, so watch out maybe for Buckley as well.
Speaking of Buckley, he just subbed out. Murphy comes in motion from right to left as the slot back and a handoff to Mathis. Yet again, he finally crosses his own 30-yard line, and he's down at the 33 as he scurried forward for 3 yards.
Yeah, it's still going to be 3rd and 10 plus, as I think it'll be about 12 or 13 yards. So not a lot so far in the playbook that gives me optimism for Buena on this play. Chevarria has shown the ability to throw the ball deep and have it be potentially caught. They still have yet to complete a deep ball. You have to think on this down, you want the ball to go past the sticks and not anything short.
Well, and as you mentioned, Joe Curley pointed out that Zach Babcock, one of the terrific wide receivers for this Buena bunch, is now on the sideline as he subs out in this set. Chevarria rolls to his left side, airs it out, takes a big hit. Settling underneath it will be the Cougars, and nearly an interception. It could have gone either way as Avilés was back there. And Avilés mistimed that one. If he had just sat on it for a second longer, it would have been the Cougars football.
He put air under that like it was a lob wedge on a golf course. And actually,
he's on the green.
Andrew Stewart almost came back to make the play. I think if he was able to track the ball better, he might have been able to come up with it. That thing was so high in the air that I'm not sure that Stewart recognized where the ball was until it fell right in front of him. So an ineffective 3rd down pass. And now Ventura and the very dangerous Zach Rodriguez back with the ball up 14.
Here's Khalil Alaboud, who will send this one, a spiraling kick that becomes more wobbly, takes a hop at the 36-yard line and then trickles past the 35 and now inside the 35 of Ventura. A nice kick coming from Alaboud as Rodriguez moved away from the pigskin. And again, as you were alluding to, a 55-yard punt return for a touchdown by Rodriguez. And we joked about it, but there's definitely the potential for a defensive touchdown as well, as we've seen a lot of pressure coming from this Cougars bunch against the O-line of the Bulldogs.
And one thing to watch here, I know this would be if the Ventura Cougars have to punt, but we have seen 2 bad snaps on a punt attempt from Rodriguez. If Buena can get a 3 and out and it's another high snap, maybe that's how the Bulldogs get back in this game. So a huge defensive possession upcoming here for Buena.
Safety deep is Jackson Geyer, the sophomore, and peeling right side is Dane Kapler as he makes his way, son of Gabe, along the 35-yard line and out at the 36 for maybe a pickup up 3.
That was a nice gain when there really wasn't much there. Kapler was able to get to the edge and then turn it up for a short gain. That was a good job strung out from those linebackers, Gomez and Duncan, in this 4-2-5. They forced Kapler wide, still picked up a few yards, and we know this is a big play offense. But on 1st down, that's a win for the defense.
Ventura will come out, 3 wide receiver set. Ledesma one-on-one towards the far side of the field. Yet again, another handoff, and it's Kapler. Stiff arm, has daylight in front of him. 35-30, 25-20, accelerates, weaves back inside the numbers, and he's in for a touchdown. And he streaks for 63 yards with 9:21 remaining in this 3rd quarter of play in a 27-7 contest.
9:21, and we mentioned all the big plays. 26-yard touchdown, 55-yard punt return touchdown, a 34-yard touchdown, and now a 63-yard touchdown. And we said Kapler was kind of held in check in the first half. He exploded for that one. After the short 4-yard gain, a 63-yard gain, and what could punctuate a huge victory tonight for Ventura, now the largest lead of the game.
The point after touchdown good by Roke Riemann. And on the season, he is now 22 of 25 from that range, and it's a 28-7 game. It was just a 2-play drive that lasted 19 seconds, and it went 67 total yards.
Great drive, 21-point lead, And this is kind of where the ball game has been headed, is can Ventura get that score and build a 3-score lead? They weren't able to late in the second quarter. They now are able to here in the early stages of the third.
Yes, here on the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week, where Ventura Orthopedics is proud to support the collegiate and high school athletic teams in the community. The doctors serve as team physicians for most of the high school and college sports programs in the area. Whether assisting with game injuries or cheering for players from the sidelines, the doctors at Ventura Orthopedics consider it a privilege to be a part of the team. Riemann will line up the football, which is placed at a tee on the 40-yard line, and will be kicking from right to left with Mathis towards the left side of the field, set to return with Murphy. This one is picked up by Betty, I believe. Not picked up by Betty, but Duncan at his own 35 and tries to wheel outside the left hash before being stopped by Jaden Klein, and a late flag comes out.
Another flag late on a play, and that just seemingly has kind of been an underlying storyline here tonight. For a late October game, these flags have added up.
Yes, and David Duncan, who scooped up the football and returned it to his own 35, is down currently, and he seems to be in some pain. It's a 28-7 game, 9:15 remaining in this third quarter of action, and the Cougars have been relentless on the ground game. You talk about Ledesma with a few sprints up the middle and some of those sub-packages. Klein as well, a 34-yard rushing touchdown. And then Kapler answers back with a 63-yard rushing touchdown. Defensively, they have not defended the run well. 657 rushing yards in the last 3 games. That's 217 yards allowed per contest on the ground.
Yeah, it's definitely one way to lose big football games, is if you can't stop teams from rushing the football. Almost at no level of football, maybe outside of Mike Leach with his air raid in college football, does a team not want to run if they can get great yardage every time they have the ability to run. If you don't have to put the ball in the air, you don't really need to. And on that last drive, we saw Ventura hand it off to Kapler twice, had a short gain, had a big gain. And then with the trick plays, using Jaden Klein the way they need to use him, it's been a very effective game plan so far from the Buena offense, or from the Ventura offense.
And again, we are at Larrabee Stadium here on the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week here at VC Star. And today's broadcast is a product of the Ventura County Star, your local leader in high school sports for the Ventura County area. To support this broadcast and all of the year-round sports coverage by the sports team at the Star, sign up for a print or digital subscription to the Ventura County Star. Visit subscribe.vcstar.com to see all of our special offers. And still on the field, David Duncan on the Eric Turner Field. And Eric E. Rock Turner, E. Rock being his nickname, was a 1986 graduate of the Ventura Cougars. He went on to UCLA, where he was drafted number 2 overall in the 1991 draft. That's the highest defensive back to be taken in the modern era. So he went to the Cleveland Browns, and then he moved to Baltimore and became a Raven before finishing up his career with Oakland, and the 2-time Pro Bowler, All-American, and the 2001 Ventura County Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I remember when the Browns moved out. Being a Pittsburgh guy, the Browns being the Steelers' biggest rival, that came out of nowhere. The Browns were gone. They fired Bill Belichick to get a new start with a new organization, go to Baltimore. They lived to regret that. And then Baltimore goes on to win a Super Bowl, compete and win another Super Bowl, and the Cleveland Browns haven't quite figured it all out.
Cheveria from the pistol, looks left on the wide receiver screen, and that one will sail out of bounds. And despite Cheveria obviously showing off that left arm of his, some of the throws have either been inaccurate or there have been some dropped by the receivers, and you and I discussed it, just missing those opportunities, whether it was Ventura allowing this Bulldogs bunch to have better field position because of defensive penalties, or simply because, one-on-one coverage on the outside and some of those drops, the Bulldogs have not been able to capitalize.
And it was miscommunication on that play. It looked like 2 receivers were blocking, and none of them were running the route for the screen as it sailed over their heads.
Hand off to Mathis. He'll slither back in between the tackles, and he picks up about 10 yards on the second down run. And waiting to see if the chains will move, and they will. So a 10-yard scurry by the 5'6", 170-pound senior, who was nearing the 1,000-yard rushing mark on the year.
Always got to give props to the little guys that are tough, and Mathis is certainly one of those guys. And the last couple years, he's been the mainstay in the backfield for this Buena offense and has done a really good job and continues to have hard-earned rushes.
To the left side as the slot back is Jackson Geyer, the sophomore. Murphy will come in motion, a handoff to Mathis again. Might as well feed the bell cow as he picks up one, but a swath of Cougars there to make the stop.
Does he remind you a little bit? I know you're an Eagles fan, Darren Sproles, in terms of that little guy that by the time a defense sees him, he's past the line of scrimmage and the linebackers, oh no, he's by us. Mathis kind of has that ability. They're not really using him in the passing game as much, but he does seem to have that explosiveness where he gets through the first stage of the defense, and then the second stage are even with him, and they don't even see him until he's past them.
You know, having spoken with a few folks before the game, that was actually the player I thought was most apropos on a gadget play. Flick back, Chevavaria wide open, and a catch into the end zone and a touchdown. Jackson Geyer was wide open. Beautifully designed gadget play to make it a 28-13 contest and a 37-yard pitch and catch from the sophomore quarterback to the sophomore slot back.
That's one way to do it. First offensive touchdown of the game was a trick play on the Ventura side, and now the first offensive touchdown of the second half for Buena is a trick play. 37-yard gain, great catch by Geyer, and a good job by Chevavaria of selling that and then getting the ball back. And also, big job by the lineman to not go downfield.
And Taylor and Butterbaugh, that one splits the uprights effectively, just hovering above the bottom post, 28-14. So after the Kapler 63-yard rushing touchdown, everything comes out of the bag for Coach Bolin, and he's able to draw up a Chevavaria to Geyer 37-yard passing touchdown, and it was a 4-play drive that went 49 yards and lasted just under a minute 30.
A great drive, a much-needed drive. Buena not quite out of this game yet. The defense is going to have to rise to the occasion, though, and get a stop. But a great job from the offense on that possession. A little bit of a trick play, and it worked to perfection. And we are seeing huge touchdowns. So far, we've had a 3-yard touchdown for Mathis. Outside of that, the shortest touchdown was the first one, which was 26. So think about that. We've had 5 touchdowns of this game that have gone for 26-plus yards. And we're just 7:57 left in the third quarter.
Explosive plays we've seen thus far.
That's what we want. We want that out of a rivalry game.
Obviously.
It's fun. It's a fun game to broadcast when we're seeing big play after big play after big play.
And, you know, you had mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, but a lot of the pre-snap movement throwing off defenders, and that was the case on that last touchdown pass. A little bit of movement by the slot backs, Chevavaria rearranging that offensive line and some of his other skill position players, and then 2 reverses right back to Chevavaria for the touchdown pass, and sometimes it's difficult for the defenses to keep up with that, and a sneaky onside kick that is recovered by Ventura inside their own 50-yard line.
They're trying
to deploy the sneaky onside kick, but the Cougars would not be bamboozled, and it's a recovery at their own 47-yard line.
It's hard to blame them there, especially when the returns have been pretty good all night from Ventura. Try for the onside kick, hope you get lucky, and then you can maybe get back in this game and get within a score. Now the defense really has to rise because it's just 53 yards away from the goal line.
And there's not been a ton of pressure on Willis when he's back to throw. I know the inclination is to run it because it's been effective in this contest, but there needs to be more pressure up the middle to try to stymie that run game. Handoff again, right side. This time it is Maxwell as he makes his way up outside of the numbers and picks up 10 yards.
Maxwell's a good change of pace back. Kapler, clearly the number 1 back on this team, but the junior Maxwell almost undoubtedly will be the starting tailback next year here for Ventura. And on that down, he was very effective, picking up about 9.5.
So a 9-yard run by Maxwell on first down and using his lead blocker to the fullest of his advantage. And Maxwell actually had his left hand on the back of his lead blocker, just following him, being patient, waiting for his upfield blocks to develop, and it paid off. And Willis will come out in a 3 wide receiver set with Rodriguez one-on-one towards the bottom of the formation. Klein works across the 40, Fights upfield, shy of the 35 at the 36-yard line, and an 8-yard run and a first down.
Only 8 yards. I'm used to him getting 25, 30, 35 yards. But it moved the chains, pick up the first down, stay in bounds. A good job by Jaden Klein there to take what the defense gave him.
Certainly, and you just want more and more and more. You just want more scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Willis from the left hash turns, hand up the middle, and across the 35-yard line goes the Cougars.
Good drive so far from the Cougars. They get it near midfield, pick up a first down, then pick up another first down 2 plays later, and continue to have this clock rolling. You're still up 14 points midway through the third quarter. You'd love to get your second touchdown drive this half, especially in short order here in the third quarter. And after your defense just gave up a score, you want to keep answering. You don't want to let Buena think they're back in this game.
So a Maxwell 3-yard run will set up a second down and 7 to go. Klein towards the outside as a wide receiver handoff. Kapler tripped up around his right ankle as he flies forward across his own 25-yard line. Or excuse me, across the Bulldogs' 25-yard line, but there is a flag towards the far side of the field.
Yeah, flag on the far side. The offense is already walking it back, so instead of it being 1st and 10 for Ventura, we've mentioned tonight a lot of offensive penalties from the Cougars. One reason why Buena remains in this ball game, and another big penalty. It just continues to add up for the Cougars all night on the offensive line.
So again, another hold in this offensive line of Ivan Rodriguez, Peter Castaneda, Colby Wilmeth, Jesse Diaz, and Caleb Barajas. They've been effective, we've seen throughout the season, and we can kind of reflect on the Oxnard game too. Though not a lot of scoring in that first half, they definitely provided good pass protection and good run holes towards the second half of action. And though they've not executed to the best of their ability tonight, there have still been plenty of running lanes. You think about Klein and Kapler, they have to definitely tip their cap to the guys up front. Under 6 minutes remaining in the third quarter of play in a 28-14 contest. Second down and 15 for the Cougars with Rodriguez at the bottom of the formation. Under center, Willis. Play action. Peels to his left. Completes a pass to Klein. He'll use the sideline across the 30 to the 29-yard line. And a pickup of 12 yards on the little dinking pass to the senior.
And Buena is going to want that one back. In particular, Joaquin Garcia coming up, trying to make the play in the backfield. And Garcia had Willis dead to rights and missed him. And instead of it being a 10-yard loss, it ends up being a short gain.
Left side, Kapler, excellent cut, weaves in between traffic and navigates into the end zone. Touchdown, Cougars. And they push the lead to 20 at 34-14 with 5:21 remaining in the third quarter of play.
I think that one ends up going for about 30, 31 yards, so a really good run from Kapler there on the short yardage third down. And he cut up inside, made a defender miss, and then went the distance again. So now the tone has been set, and Ventura with a PAT, well, I was going to say with a PAT would move it up, but now another offensive penalty, just as we thought. It's going to be a 34-14 lead. Another big penalty from the Cougars, and maybe Buena has some magic here.
That's 2 holding calls now on this drive as Cade Ledesma subs in at wide receiver, but now looks like he will saunter off the field. But these are the opportunities that have been presented to Buena throughout the contest. It's just been a lack of capitalization on those moments.
Yeah, now it's about 3rd and 11.
This
so
is a give-me moment.
Huge penalty.
Kapler, lone back. Klein comes in motion. Play action. Willis looking towards the middle of the field on a post route. Rodriguez has it, but it's jarred loose. Dislodged in the secondary, and a tremendous play made by Andrew Stewart, the DB.
Yeah, Stewart gets in from that cornerback spot, knocks it away, and Rodriguez, one of the more sure-handed players on this Ventura team, it looked like a catch, and then last second stripped away, incomplete, 4th and 11. A great ball thrown by Carson Willis. And now Buena, if they can get a stop here, they might get pretty good field position unless the Ventura Cougars decide to punt.
And the Cougars will call a timeout, and I believe that's what Coach Garcia and company will mull over with 5:05 remaining here in the third quarter at Larrabee Stadium as the Cougars And the Bulldogs are locked in the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week. 20 doctors with 5 locations in Ventura County, all with one goal in mind to get you back in the game. Ventura Orthopedics specializes in sports medicine, general orthopedics, pain management, pediatric, as well as MRIs. Ventura Orthopedics offers exceptional therapy services featuring 26 highly skilled physical and occupational therapists. Learn more at venturaortho.com or call to schedule an appointment at 800-698-1280. And as we said, Ken, I think there's discussion going on along the sideline whether Coach Garcia will elect to punt this, in which case the Bulldogs will most likely have the ball inside their 15-ish. Otherwise, you're looking at a 4th down and 11 if it's a turnover on downs. Bulldogs will most likely have the football somewhere inside their 30-yard line, which, again, isn't terrific position either, and down 14 points with 5 left in the third.
Yeah, but if you can capitalize off of a defensive stop, that is a win for the defense. And it looks like Ventura keeps the offense out there. Ledesma is the receiver at the top of the screen, though.
Willis looks left, pressure coming, scans the field, throws, Ledesma skies, and that is undoubtedly a pass interference.
No flags. Or
There
is
is
there
a flag at the 8-yard line, and it was one-on-one coverage. Andrew Stewart did not turn his head as Ledesma went up for the catch, but Stewart is trying to make his case that Ledesma pushed off of him, so it will be interesting to see if it's offensive or defensive pass interference.
I think more what he's trying to say is he came back and ran into me. Remember, there's not in college and high school, you don't have to turn your head. You can play the man. You don't have to play the ball. And if the receiver runs back into you, sometimes they don't call that. Now, the receiver's allowed at that position as well, so ultimately Stewart has to do a better job of getting in between the ball and his man. But sometimes the refs do decide if you run into the defender not to call it. But that time there was contact. Smart play by Ledesma to come back to the football, and instead it gives Ventura a fresh set of downs.
And Buena had it served up to them on a silver platter, a 4th down and 11 and good coverage downfield. However, the flag gives the Cougars a first down with Ledesma operating as the quarterback from the gun. Ledesma, hands off, left side, and Kapler lowers his shoulder across the 10, maintains his balance, and fights to about the 1-yard line, maybe even the half-yard line. A 21-yard pickup by the halfback.
Yeah, he had one called back about 30 yards out earlier. This time it's about a 21-yard gain, and now 1st and goal inside the 1. I think you give it to Dane Kapler one more time.
And why not? It's, he's been pretty effective today. Just, a 63-yard rushing touchdown, a couple other double-digit yard runs here and there, and, of course, he muscled his way inside the 10.
Running angry.
Oh, yeah.
You want your running back to run angry. You don't want a happy running back when the defense looks at you. You want a guy that says, I'm going to punish you and I'm going to run through you if need be.
And it's tough for those defenders to step up with especially a guy like Kapler having a full head of steam coming towards you. Ledesma remains on the field. Flanking him to his left is Kapler. Ledesma on a keeper, stretches out, and he's into the end zone. No problem from 1 yard away, and Cade Ledesma will now make it a 34-14 game after the rushing touchdown by Kapler that was away from 30 yards was called back. It's a 21-yard run by Kapler, and then the pickup for 6 by Ledesma.
Yeah, for a second I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a flag. We've seen so many tonight
Probably smart.
on the offensive end. So I looked around. Nope, no yellow flag down. The touchdown does stand.
Riemann, the senior, splits the uprights and kicks the ball to where some young fans are near a flagpole behind the posts. And at 4:11 remaining in the third quarter of play, it's a 35-14 contest, a 21-point edge for the Cougars at home in the 56th overall San Buenaventura rivalry. And again, the winner will take home the Suzanne Brown Memorial Trophy and the 9 consecutive wins for the likes of Ventura might, or at least at this moment, seems to be extended to 10 as the Bulldogs trail by 21 points. Riemann lines up the kick, and this one will be a soft, fluttering kick and a fair catch called for by Jackson Geyer, who had the receiving touchdown last time out from Cheveria. 4:11 remaining in the third quarter of play. and the Bulldogs will take the football from inside their own 35.
And 4-11, not a good number this quarter for that Buena defense because it was 4th and 11, and that's where the pass interference penalty occurred. If you get a stop there, you're down with pretty good field position, 14 points just after scoring. That keeps you in the game. Instead, the 15-yard penalty resulted in a first down, and just a few plays later, it was a touchdown for Ledesma. And what I think, now there's still 16 minutes left in this game, but what I think will end up being the backbreaker.
Astute observation with that 4:11 remaining in the third quarter and that 4th down and 11 with the PI that was called. Slot back is Murphy. Handoff left side to Mathis. Tries to turn it upfield, but that defense has been absolutely suffocating as they avalanche and spear towards the football. Shy of the 40-yard line is Mathis as he maybe wiggles forward for 4.
You've now at that point in the game where there's less minutes remaining than points you're down. That's never a good place to be. And for the Buena Bulldogs, this is usually a close competitive game here, but Ventura winning 9 straight in the series, they'd love to punctuate it and make it 10, and they'd love to do it in a blowout fashion if they could. For Buena now, I said they need at least 2 offensive touchdowns to have a chance, probably 3. They need 3 touchdowns now total in the final 15 minutes just to tie the game. So it's becoming, not only do you need to score, you're going to have to score pretty quickly if you want to get back in this game.
There goes Mathis and strong arms his way across the 50 to the 49-yard line. A 12-yard sprint by the senior.
Yeah, good gain. He's had plenty of those tough runs for 10, 11, 12 yards. Hasn't broken one for 30 or 40 yet, but he's done a really good job tonight when they've called his number.
Well, Babcock subbed in on that last play, and again, as we've said, he's been a receiving threat this season. 7 catches, 214 yards, and 2 touchdowns on a per-catch average. That's almost 31 yards per reception. 3 minutes left in the third quarter. 35-14. Cougars lead at Larrabee Stadium. Delayed handoff, left side, and short of the 45-yard line along the left hash mark is Jake Murphy.
Yeah, I think right now for Buena, the problem is when you run a wing T and you haven't hit many deep balls on the season or tonight, this plays into the defense's hand because even if you were to go 7, 8 plays and get down towards the red zone or score, that still kills a lot of time off the clock. And Ventura feels pretty good about its defense right now where they've done a good job, for the most part, of stopping this Buena offense throughout tonight's game.
Babcock, the junior, towards the top of the formation. Lining up as an additional blocker along the right side of the line is the senior Josh Jones. Murphy again, reverses it. A little bit of rim for Babcock across to 35-30, 25-20, down inside the 15-yard line as he's able to garner a gain of about 33 yards.
Yeah, great job utilizing Babcock. Almost surprised we haven't seen more of that. Clearly with their slot backs, they like to get the ball in their hands in that position. But if 12's not able to get the football, you find a way to get him the football. And that time it was a good gain, good blocking, the best offensive play of the night from their key offensive player, Zach Babcock.
And though the score may not show it, Anthony Morales has pulled out some great plays. We saw the last offensive sequence for this Bulldogs team, that double reverse. Cheveria had the touchdown pass. We've seen a couple wide receiver screen attempts, and then there the double reverse, and Babcock has a lane to run with. Mathis cuts back inside of the numbers, rather inside the hashes, and fights forward to the 12-yard line as he scurries forward for 2.
And not a position that Buena's been in much tonight, which is near the goal line. Now, earlier in the game, they were right at this 12-yard line, 1st and 10, down 7-0. Ended up getting nothing, missing a field goal, and that changed the dynamics of the early stages of this game. Now it's 2nd down and 9 from that same 12-yard line. Have to come up with 7 here. Can't rely on a field goal down 21, late third.
Beatty checks in. He's at the bottom of the formation, at the bottom of your screen with under 1:30 left in the third. Mathis again tucks the ball in between the inside of his left arm and left hip and fights forward across the 10 to the 9-yard line and picks up 3 yards on the carry. And Kent, a lot of substitutions taking place, and in which case that means the time is starting to dwindle away. 60 seconds left of this third quarter, and you're trailing by 21.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where you rely on the players that you feel best about, and that happens to be your running back and your receiver. You get Babcock the ball, you made things happen, but Mathis is the guy that this Buena team relies on the most. And so I understand it where you don't want to just start getting pass happy. but you also are running a lot of clock.
Geyer in motion, handoff Mathis across the 5 to the 4-yard line as he twirled in midair and fights forward for a gain of about 5 yards, 33.7 seconds remaining in this third quarter of play. And now the clock paused momentarily as the ball is being reset. Under 30 ticks left. 35-14 is the score. Ventura leads at home in the Ventura Orthopedics game of the week. Cougars quickly making a swap out along the defensive line.
And they gave them the first down, so it is first and goal.
Cheveria. Handoff, Mathis, and he is met right in the middle by Nick Lansky. And what a stand-up tackle made by Lansky. And that will bring an end to the third quarter of play as Mathis was absolutely stonewall. And we head to the fourth quarter of play in the 56th overall San Buenaventura rivalry. 35-14, Cougars with the advantage here at the Ventura Orthopedics game of the week. At Ventura Orthopedics, they have one goal, to get you back in the game. The doctors are well versed in the special orthopedic needs of both the amateur and professional athlete. Many of their physicians currently serve as team doctors for more, if not most, of the area high schools and community colleges. 20 doctors, 26 physical therapists, all with an athlete's best health performance in mind. Learn more at VenturaOrtho.com today or call to schedule an appointment at 800-698-1280. Also, make sure to check out VC Star on Twitter at VCS Preps. And as we begin the fourth quarter of play, it is a 35-14 contest. And if you are just joining us on BCStar.com with our sensational producer, Anthony Placencia, Kent Brown, Cam Molina with you. And as of right now, Buena piecing together what could potentially be a scoring drive. But even if they do put up a touchdown, time is against them as they'll trail by 2 possessions. Yeah,
ultimately you can only worry about the drive that you have currently, and they are knocking on the door inside the 2-yard line. But for Buena, it's pretty evident of you're going to need stops, you're going to need scores to have any chance here. It's been an exciting game. It's been one where I say there's been a lot of mistakes made on both sides, but Ventura through 3 quarters has been the more impressive squad. But if you know anything about the series, Cam, it usually becomes pretty close in the fourth quarter.
Cheveria will go to the sideline, and Willis will run a Wildcat-esque set. Extra lineman comes in. Mathis takes it himself, cuts it back inside the hash marks, and both teams with a scrum at the 1-yard line, and the play will be called dead right at the 1. And again, Willis running the Wildcat, darted to the right side of the line, tried to carve and curb up the right side, and nearly picked his way through for 6, but yet again, a great defensive stand by the Cougars. Mathis stays out on the field, takes it again, and this time he'll plunge into the end zone from 1 yard away. His second rushing touchdown of the contest, 13th on the season. 30 seconds into the fourth quarter of play, 35-20, PAT pending.
A good drive there from Buena, a great result from Bruce Mathis, the senior tailback. In early stages of the fourth quarter, still hope is alive for Buena. Mathis, as we mentioned, he gets tough yardage, and that time from 1 yard out, he was able to punctuate with a score, and it keeps Buena in the game.
Butterball, PAT up and good. 35-21, a 14-point differential on the scoreboard. Still 3 timeouts in the back pocket of the Bulldogs, but again, trailing by 2 possessions. We've seen the ground game work exceptionally well for this Cougars bunch, and this are more or less at the time to continue to put the ball in the hands of your playmakers in the backfield and grind out those hard-earned yards.
I don't know if you go for the onside kick again or if you kick it deep and you hope to, get a stop. I do see, by the way, right near us is Gabe Kapler, the former manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. Just to our left here, his son Dane's having quite the game here tonight. So it is the postseason for Major League Baseball. The Astros won tonight in the World Series to get back to 2-1. And, for Gabe, it has to be exciting to see his son play here on a Friday night and be able to, after the incident where the Malibu fires happened, he had to relocate and come here to Ventura to be able to play in this game and perform very well. And for him, this is his first Ventura Buena game. For a lot of these kids, this is now their third, fourth, second go-around. for Dane Kapler. This is his first, and it's been quite the night for the senior tailback.
Right, obviously a memorable night, too, if the Cougars are able to prevail and come out on top in this one, as Butterball will send this one away, and it's scooped up at the 20-yard line, and turning upfield is Curran Walker. Walker will reverse field, tries to maintain his balance, tries to shimmy and deke a defender across the 35. It finally goes out of bounds. There's a flag towards the far side of the field. And Walker, I thought he also had his face mask pulled, but there is no flag towards the near side of the field.
Yeah, I feel like every other return in football these days, there's a flag, and it becomes a very difficult thing for special teams to have to do your blocking, understand the fact that you need your return men to get upfield quickly, and it's just kind of in the nature of football now. You want to be a bit more protective of players on special teams, but there do seem to be a ton of flags, high school, college, pro, it doesn't matter, on these type of plays. And tonight, Cam, we've seen flags throughout the entire game. That's been maybe the only, in rivalry games, we're hoping it's close, we hope it's competitive, but you also want to see clean football as much as possible, and the refs are doing their job. There's been the penalties, but you just wish it would be cleaner for this stage of the season. It's not week 0, it's not week 1. We are now well on the stage where it's the end of October, and I think both teams have not been good on the penalty level tonight.
11:14 remaining in this final period of action. 35-21. Willis will hand off up the middle to Ledesma. Correction, Klein. Klein jolts outside the numbers across the 50 and into enemy territory and into Bulldogs, into their doghouse, and he's finally out at the 37-yard line. What a gallop there.
Yeah, great gain, another huge one. Remember I said only 8 yards for Klein earlier? That's why I said that. He's used to getting a lot more than 8 yards every time he touches the football. And another big play for this Ventura offense, and they continue to wear down the opposition.
And more on-field antics as someone else will streak across the field. A 40-yard rush by Klein. Second run of this contest for Klein. That went over 35 yards. Maxwell, left side, using the blocker to their fullest, and he's down at the 29-yard line after a scamper of 8.
Yeah, good gain on first down. Clock continues to wind. Under 11 minutes remaining in this game. And now you lead by 14. The clock is your friend. And also the ability to get 8 yards on first down is very nice too.
And this defense for this Bulldogs club just seems gassed. It's just been a marathon, handing it off to Kapler, Klein, Maxwell, and a few passes here and there. Also Ledesma running out of that sub package. It just seems that right now the Bulldogs don't have as much energy to expend. 3 receivers set. Ledesma in motion from left to right. It is a handoff to Ledesma. He'll wait for some of the blocks to generate in front of him. He's across the 25, 20, slips, hesitates, tries to cut back inside the numbers, but is tripped up inside the 5-yard line of the Bulldogs and out of bounds at the 3.
Yeah, down inside the 3-yard line. And a great effort from Ledesma, really contributing well. And we discussed this in our pregame talk, then into the first quarter. They're going to use Ledesma in many ways. And when they utilize him, his percentage rate of success on the plays when he gets a touch is extremely high. And tonight it's been almost 100% of the time it's been a big play.
Nick Lansky will sub in. Ledesma rushes for 26 yards as Willis turns behind him, waiting on the play call. Maxwell will be the feature back. Klein, the H-back, and Michael Zapata, the wide receiver towards the top of your screen. Handoff, Maxwell hesitates, tap dances, turns upfield, turns over Lansky, I think. Stretches out the arm, but he is shy at the half-yard line, picks up 2.
Interesting decision on this drive to go with Maxwell. We do have Kapler on the sideline with the coaches. Seemingly, this is just one possession they wanted to go with the junior running back, and he's been very good, but generally speaking, this would be Kapler's time, you would think, near the goal line.
Well, regardless, the ground game has been absolutely marvelous. 2 runs, just this drive, over 25 yards. You had the 26-yard sprint by Ledesma, and then the slithering run by Klein for 40. Speaking of which, Klein in motion, handoff, Maxwell, and he's wrapped up around the knees. Great stand-up tackle is made by Paul Gomez, the senior. 9:20 left in the contest, and Ventura in no rush to make a decision on this 3rd down and goal.
Yeah, right now, take your time, although it does look like a very much a bunch formation.
Yes, Klein will most likely receive the snap. Willis subs out and Zapata subs out. Klein, direct snap, rummaging up the middle and is in for a touchdown. Klein yet again putting up big points.
His third touchdown of the night. Shortest one, 26 and 34 on his other 2 touchdowns. This one, a simple 1-yard touchdown from Klein, but that's all he needed to go as he gets into the end zone from 1 yard out. And just a really good drive. Ventura now an extra point away from leading a 21-point game with only 8:57 left. And this offense has been tremendous in terms of this half. They led 21-7 at the break. They are now ready to add 21 points to this half.
Riemann converts the PAT to make it 42-21, and yet again, the score jumps up to a 21-point advantage under 9 minutes remaining as Ventura is securely in control of this ball game. And again, this is the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week. At Ventura Orthopedics, they offer state-of-the-art technology to ensure their patients receive the best care possible, always staying abreast of the latest developments in orthopedic medicine. The doctors and surgeons have been among the first in the community to perform many advanced orthopedic treatments, including total hip replacement. Kent, you might need that. I know you've been going to the green a lot lately. I noticed you've been a little short on your swing. Learn more at VenturaOrtho.com today and let them help you to get back in the game.
Yeah, anything that can help the golf game, I am very much in. During football season, I don't get as much golf time in as I do the rest of the year, but fortunately when it's 90 degrees in late October, it does make you want to get out and play as much as possible.
Kick along the right side, picked up by Mathis, I believe, and he's shy of his own 45-yard line. And a correction, it was Murphy who made his way to his own 44. And slow to make his way off the turf is Caden Carbum, the senior DB.
Buena last possession looked good. They answered, but like we said, time is of the essence, and they took their time. They're going to need quick strike scores if they're going to stick around in this football game.
So Buena will operate from their own 35 with 8:52 remaining following the 6-play 75-yard touchdown drive. I made it a 42-21 contest, wrapped up by the Klein 1-yard sprint. Again, his third touchdown, so he has the hat trick. Geyer comes in motion, handoff Mathis, 8 yards on the first down scamper.
Good gain on first down, but again, clock continues to wind, under 8:40 remaining now in this fourth quarter. Buena, now it's time. If you get any score, you have to go for onside kicks from this point on. But a great job on first down there to pick up nearly the full distance.
Well, Ledesma and company have been playing mostly a one high safety set. I'm surprised Chevalier has not targeted anyone deep one or anything underneath. We've seen a couple wide receiver screens. They just not have been executed well. If one is executed well, I think with that one safety deep, you have an opportunity to pick up some major yards. Here's Geyer. He'll switch gears, cut up along the right numbers on the opposite side of the field. He picks up a first down, and he rushes for 5.
A good job on that one to get the first down. Clock now at about 8:10 remaining. And I think for Chevalier, he's shown the arm to throw it deep. Now might be the time to test this defense. And on first down, go play action or go deep, 5-7 step drop, and hope that one of your receivers, in particular Zach Babcock, can maybe make a play. We have not seen him touch the football many times on offense. That's been a great design from the defense, but right now I think Babcock needs to be a guy you look for. Even if you force it to him here, there's only 8 minutes left. You have to take that risk.
Dilt subs out in is Babcock. Chevalier, play action, steps up, looks for Babcock on the post route. He goes up in double coverage, and that most likely will be pass interference, as Mayrin, the DB, who's also a senior, was face guarding there. And I think as Babcock jumped, I think there was a pull on his jersey.
I think they heard me. They said, deep shot to Babcock. Okay, Kent, we hear you, and we're going to go for it. And now it's going to be a 15-yard gain after the pass interference.
So 15 yards in Buena in Ventura real estate. With 7:42 left in the contest, a 42-21 ball game with fans slowly beginning to leak out, and the Buena band still providing the harmonious music on the far sideline.
It'll be a celebration night here tonight for Ventura if they can hold on to this lead.
Mathis tries to work his way up the gut, but he's forced back after 5 yards. And should Ventura come away with this victory, they'll move to 4-5 on the season, 2-2 in PBL play, and yet again, playoff aspirations certainly in the works for both of these clubs, but it's going to come down to the wire. Next week, Buena is on the road taking on Oxnard, who had a sizable lead last time I checked in, which was near halftime. Staggered receivers towards the far side of the field. Chevaria under duress will roll out, throws on the run, and it is incomplete.
Yeah, not a lot there. Great coverage downfield. The defensive backs have been, relatively speaking, superb here tonight for Ventura. And they also know with the game plan for Buena, they are not a deep threat team who takes a lot of shots. So for the most part, you can risk going man. You make sure you don't allow running games to pick up in the middle of the field. And just a good job. And actually, in the 3 games we've seen this year from Ventura, the secondary has been very good in all 3.
And as you mentioned, it's not truly the philosophy of this Bulldogs club to throw deep. As we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, nearly 50% of their offense is coming from Mathis on the ground. A flag comes out.
Illegal substitution.
So an illegal substitution against Buena. And the flag was thrown back at the 50-yard line by the referee. And Coach Bolin wanting an explanation. He is out at the 48-yard line of Ventura.
Yeah, I'm sure he's irritated tonight. Again, there's been so much laundry thrown on the field from the Zebras, and you just don't want that. It has to frustrate both coaches, but when you're losing 21 points right now in a rivalry, it's going to frustrate you even more as that head coach.
And we expected a tight-knit contest. Obviously, Ventura has had their bright moments, but the same thing goes for the Bulldogs. You think about last year, just a 3-point contest. You think about 10 years ago, it was a 14-10 game that ultimately favored Buena, but now tonight a 21-point advantage for the Cougars. Bottom of the formation is Stewart. Chevaria, pressure coming. Rolls out to his left, scans downfield, throws on the run. Play is made by Myers, lowers his shoulder, and he's down at the 25-yard line. 14-yard pickup correction. Murphy with the catch.
Yeah, really nice play by Chevaria there, staying up. He got hit, but he got rid of it. Murphy found it, turned it upfield, picked up the first down. 6:27 remaining. At this point, I don't know if you necessarily can cover 21 points in that time, but if you can get a quick score here, get an onside kick, you never know. Crazier things have happened.
Beatty will check in for the Bulldogs with the Buena fan section still trying to generate some noise and encourage their troops on the field who will work along the left hash mark, moving from right to left on your screen. Ball is loose. Mathis jumps on it, and he is also aided by Murphy, so another lack of execution there by the Bulldogs. And again, we've said it multiple times, but this is a team that has playoff aspirations. They're knocking on the door of a playoff berth at 500, but now looks like they'll go under 500. It was about execution, and for Coach Bolin, it was about coming in with a lot of fight. And early on, they were just super flat at 14-0 to start the contest, and then jumping out to a 21-7 lead at intermission. The Bulldogs just missing a lot of those opportunities that have almost been gift-wrapped to them by Ventura.
Yeah, that's really been the difference is early in this game, Ventura were able to build a big lead, and then they've held on since.
2-by-2 set. Wide receiver screen. Ball is reeled in by Babcock, who turns upfield. The junior muzzles his way forward inside the 20-yard line of the Cougars, down at the 18, picks up 15 yards.
Very good gain, a really nice effort from Babcock. And that time the screen pass worked. It was open. You get the downfield blocking. You take about 10 yards till you get touched, and then power forward for 5 more. Clock does wind under 5, but a good gain from Babcock. One of the truly special players, only a junior on this Buena team.
Buckley will sub out for the Bulldogs. Under 5 minutes remaining in the ball game. And again, if the Cougars prevail, they'll be 4-5 on the season with Channel Islands next week and an 0-8 club there, coached by Gary Porter. Chevaria, beautiful dart thrown along the left seam to a wide open senior, Josh Jones, converting from 18 yards away, 42-27. A 15-point contest, potentially, rather a 15-point contest now, opportunity to make it 14 with the PAT.
Yeah, good throw there. That time they faked the inside handoff, and getting open was Jones for his first touchdown of the game, and a really good play design where you get the defense guessing, you send the linebackers, and then that opens the tight end wide open down the middle up the seam.
Butterball converts from 17 away, rather 19 away, and it is 42-28, 4:32 remaining in the ball game, and I would expect to see an onside kick.
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be, and with approximately 3 timeouts remaining for the Bulldogs, which they've been pretty conservative with those. If you recover, I mean, anything can really happen. But yet again, still trailing by 2 possessions, and the success rate for those onside kicks, pretty marginal.
Yeah, very hard to believe that Ventura doesn't find a way to win this game, but the one hope Buena has is getting this onside kick, getting a score, making it a 1-possession game, and then putting the pressure on the Cougars. If they don't get this, as you said, they still have 3 timeouts. You can get a stop, get the ball back, but it's going to be a lot more challenging if you do not come up with the ball on this kick.
Butterball to send this away following the 6-play, 65-yard drive that lasted 4 minutes, 27 seconds. I think that's the key there. Though a lot of pass plays, not as much urgency as you would expect from a team trailing at that point by double digits, and an easy recover by Lansky on the hands team for Ventura. And I think it was a violation regardless against the Bulldogs.
Now Ventura up 14, 4.5 remaining, and now we'll start off with great field position after recovering the onside kick. And huge rivalry game tonight. Big statement game for both programs here in the Pacific View League. You never want to lose any rivalry game. You specifically don't want to lose at home, and you don't want to lose after winning 9 straight. You want your senior class to finish as victors throughout their time against your rival, and that appears to be what the black and gold are going to be. They're going to actually re-kick this as the penalty happened prior to the kick. So still alive, I guess. Buena's still hanging on.
The biggest loser tonight is you. You weren't able to try the tri-tip sandwich here, and I know that was very unfortunate for
missed
you.
out.
I know George.
I've had it, though. I've had it several times.
Well, it's like the first time every time when you try it here. As Lansky, yet again, the ball takes 2 hops in a routine play as he falls on it at the 45-yard line of the Bulldogs. And Ventura, more or less, with how exceptional their ground game has been in this second half, can probably hand it off to Maxwell, Kapler, any mix of the guys in the backfield, and most likely wrap this one up.
That's going to have to be, you're going to have to start trying some of the tri-tips. When I first came out here, myself, Eric Havelhawk, who's also doing the broadcast here, Danny Page, Derry Eads was on our broadcast. We've had plenty of people come in and out, Joe Curley, of course, George Contreras. All of us have been kind of tri-tip experts, kind of, or at least we think
we're connoisseurs.
But you, not yet. You're kind of just wetting your beak in the Ventura County area now, and you need to start having a little bit of a power rankings. I will say Ventura High School almost always has, if not the best. They're right there as one of the 2 or 3 best every year. So I did miss out tonight, wasn't able to get one, but let's just say it's always very high on my list, and we've been here so many times, I'll have him down the line. I know that.
Kapler goes for 14, but the way you portrayed the tri-tip sandwich as well as Joe Curley, that it's a can't miss, and I do feel guilty that I didn't try it earlier. And I know George has talked about on several occasions that this particular tri-tip sandwich is at least top 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it definitely medals. Worst case, it's getting a bronze, a silver, could get a gold in certain areas as well.
There goes Kapler. Tries to work outside the hashes, but then is veering back in between the tackles. He was redirected as one of the Bulldogs came over and guided him, funneled him back inside the hash marks with 3:40 remaining in the contest. It's a 42-28 game.
Yeah, at this point, second down, clock winds, you're up 14 points. You're in no hurry. You have a reliable senior tailback. You have a reliable senior quarterback. And then if you want to hand it off to Klein or go something with Ledesma, you have so many options here with guys that you trust with the football. Even Zach Rodriguez, too, on something short.
Correct.
Probably going to catch it, keep it in bounds, and might even get to the sticks.
Deep pitch. Kapler jukes back inside, tries to get to the 25 before he's smothered with 3 minutes remaining in the ballgame. And what a terrific bounce-back win for the Cougars, losing to Pacifica last week 49-7. It was 42-0 at halftime, Ken. And when I spoke with Coach Garcia, he said, we walked away with an understanding of what happened that night, which was we got our butts kicked physically. We faced a better opponent, and it happens sometimes. But when you accept it and you walk away smiling and laughing, then you have problems. And what Coach Garcia told me is like, we were not smiling, we weren't laughing, and we came in extremely motivated for this contest and wanted to make it a double-digit winning streak against this club. Handoff working along the right side across the 20-15, and inside of the 12-yard line is Walker.
Jaden Klein on that carry.
I beg your pardon, Klein.
Yeah, Klein's a reliable guy that you can give the ball to in that situation. And what does he do? He picks up the first down in a very good game. And now, a 2:20 left. Pretty much run it 3 times here. If you score, cool. If not, you're pretty much going to waste the entire time remaining in this game. Not quite, but you'll be close.
And just basing it off records right now, again, Coach Porter with Channel Islands 0-8. That's Ventura's next contest. You move to 4-5, potentially 5-5, and earn that playoff berth. And with a lot of momentum at your back, this Ventura team could be a little scary heading into the postseason. Right side handoff and across the 10-yard line goes Sage Beltran, the senior.
Yeah, they're giving it to Beltran, one of the backup running backs here. Final rivalry game for him against Buena, crosstown rival. Maybe try to pop a score, and now you're seeing Rodriguez comes out, Kapler comes out. They're getting their star seniors to kind of do their own walk-offs, and now they're bringing in a lot of, the reliable guys who put all the practice time in, put the work in week to week. They don't necessarily get the run on the field that the starters do, but now they'll have a chance maybe to pop one in here with a minute 20 left.
And the play is blown dead. It was another handoff towards the left side for Beltran. And a stoppage of play, I think a timeout used by the Bulldogs, and that's the case. Also subbing in Jacob Pataskal, the 5'9" wideout for this Ventura club. And with $1:18 remaining, the soon-to-be 4-5 Cougars will claim their 10th consecutive victory against the Buena Bulldogs. We'll take home the Suzanne Brown Memorial Trophy yet again. And flashing back real quick to that 2008 victory for this Cougar club, in which they won 20-17. Klein in that ball game, 6 receptions, 66 yards, a touchdown, and a fumble recovery. In this ball game, 2 rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown, over 100 total yards of offense. His impact was not only felt last year, but this year, and showing the growth of that young man who, again, is receiving offers from Division I schools.
Yeah, I think when you look at the way this game has gone, and with this being just a huge victory for the Ventura Cougars, it sets up the next couple games, too. It gives you a chance, one more game left in the regular season, making a statement. You mentioned Channel Islands being that squad. All of a sudden, you get that win, you finish top 3 in your division, and you have a chance here.
Pataskal lines up in a wing formation towards the left side of the field. End around handoff to Rodriguez, and he's in for 6.
They called him out, then they brought him back in, and he gets a great touchdown, untouched, on what could be the final play offensively of the night for Ventura.
9-yard rushing touchdown for Rodriguez, a special teams touchdown, and now an offensive touchdown to make it 48-28 and put the icing on the cake.
Great rush by Rodriguez. As you said, definitely the icing on the cake. And now Ventura closing in on. I don't think they're going to go for 2 to get the 50, but 49 with 7 touchdowns is still pretty impressive. The defense, I said, trying to get the triple threat of offense, defense, and special teams. Still without that defensive score.
Close.
But if you can win 49-28 in the rivalry, and you have 6 offensive touchdowns and 1 special teams, you'll sign up for that.
Which, I mean, by the law of averages, you would think that a special teams touchdown is far more rare than a defensive touchdown. So it kind of works out that, this should have been a defensive touchdown somewhere sprinkled in there. But
hey, there's still a minute 11 left.
They don't go for the triumvirate. It is 49-28, a 21-point game. And the Cougars will advance again to 4-5 on the season. And Coach Garcia has to be extremely enthused. Last year they had 4 losses that were a combined 31 points. In 2 games they lost by a combined 8 points this season. And jumping to an early lead. A couple times the Bulldogs may have nipped at the heels of this Cougars bunch, but definitely staved off the competition and will prevail in a runaway style as the kick is nearly muffed. It was juggled along the near side boundary by Stewart as I think he was trying to wait for the ball to go out of bounds following the Riemann kick, but we'll scoop it up, and the Bulldogs will take the football from their own 30-yard line, down 21 points with a buck remaining in this contest.
Yeah, I really like what I've seen tonight from Ventura. Playmakers making big plays, huge plays throughout the contest. And overall, even though there were penalties, and they'll have to address that, that shouldn't be an issue at this point in the season, they came through and negated a lot of those penalties by big plays. Every time Buena scored, Ventura seemed to answer, and that really was the ultimate difference.
Cheveria will come into the huddle, and Mathis is in the backfield. His brother, Drew, who's at Oregon currently, University of Oregon. He played at Buena as an outside linebacker. His junior year racked up 92 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 9.5 tackles for loss. Cheveria maintaining his balance and will just throw it away, and it will be in the vicinity of Josh Jones, who caught the last touchdown for Buena.
Yeah, Josh Jones with that touchdown to get it within striking distance, and they fell short on the onside kick. Ventura goes on to get the touchdown just a few plays later with Rodriguez. But Cheveria has held up pretty well, I think, in this game. For a sophomore quarterback, this is going to be a kid over the next couple seasons. I expect him to win a lot. And you go through a rivalry game like this, you lose, but you look good for the most part. There's a lot to build on for the signal caller.
Cheveria, low snap, handles it, waist level, sets his feet, lets it fly, and incomplete as the ball fluttered to the left seam, and he was looking for that shallow post route where the sprinting Buckley was trying to make his way towards. And you said there's a lot to build off of. Again, Cheveria is just a sophomore, and when I spoke with Coach Bolin, he said he thought after the Pacifica game that was the best game they had played that season. They lost 45-7. Pacifica had been averaging 57 points at that time. And Coach Bolin referenced, you look at Pacifica 2 years ago, they went 3-7, and they want to have a turnaround just like them, and he feels they're nearing that point.
Yeah, and I think right now he'll have to work on the precision of his deep ball. He throws a nice deep ball, puts the air under it.
Low snap, Mathis will recover it.
But ultimately, the timing will have to improve. And also, if you look at this Buena team, Zach Babcock is only a junior. He'll be back. Jake Murphy, Jackson Guy are two guys that are reliable in the pass game and in that slot running game. They're coming back. Cheveria will be back. Offensive line, all of them are underclassmen. There's not one senior offensive line starter, so this is going to be an offense next year that takes the field, and they're loaded with experience. And, you know, they held okay tonight. I think what killed them was inconsistency in terms of penalties, and then also on the defensive side, they weren't able to get it done. But offensively, 28 points should keep you in a lot of ball games.
And the Bulldogs will just allow the clock to expire. And on senior night, the Ventura Cougars will advance to 4-5, winning their 10th consecutive San Buenaventura rivalry, and will take home the Suzanne Brown Memorial Trophy. And number 56 will stay with the Cougars. A final score of 49-28 here on the Ventura Orthopedics Game of the Week on BCStar.com. A very generous thank you and very sincere thank you to all who have listened today for this exciting contest, a 21-point victory for the Cougars. And a very special thanks from all of us here at BCStar.com, from Anthony Placencia, Kent Brown, Cam Molina, and the entirety of our VC Star crew. Have a great and safe night.